Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we got a special guest.
That's 2 specials.
A lot of people get the 2s.
Yeah.
Special guest.
3 times special.
Wow.
Mr. Heath Brinkley is here, bro. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. Heath, you've had an extraordinary career in skateboarding, and and it's not over yet. Big things happening over at Primitive here, but let's go back to young Heath. Grew up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Grew up right outside of Nashville, a small town.
Okay.
White House, about 25 miles north. But
Yeah.
my skating developed in Nashville.
Okay.
We were just downtown all the
Now,
time.
when you were a young kid skating, were you good at skating? Were you trying to chase the dream at all? Or?
Like, I wouldn't say I was good.
Of course
I mean, no. Of course I was chasing the dream.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I started skating in '86.
Oh.
So, and it just was by chance that this kid started my school and was from Florida and skated. And his setup was a Rob Roscott, the arm coming through the target.
Two?
He had slime balls, blue rails, blue tracker trucks, and I just thought that was the best. I was like, oh man, this is sick,
Yeah.
He taught me, my first trick I ever learned was tic-tac. And he taught me.
Tic-tac.
Right. He taught me how to do that. And the girl that and I'm like 16.
Yeah.
Or no, 15.
Oh, okay.
And like I'm dating this girl, whatever, and like her brother had this like cruiser Makaha board. It was like that thick. It was inch and a half thick.
Jesus.
And so he was like, yeah, just like, I would skate with him, and like I was doing bonuses into the grass and everything, and that was my introduction until and that was her brother's.
Okay.
And then I broke the truck on that, and then like kind of hit it because I felt bad.
Oh, right.
I didn't know how to like address that one, and then like my mom got me my first board on my 16th birthday.
Okay.
Like, Veriflex off of QVC.
QVC.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's when
Started on college
QVC. She
Ordered it
didn't.
up?
Well, she knew I was skating, and
Okay.
just was like, all right, I'm gonna get him a board. And like this was when QVC just really started hitting, and
Oh, yeah.
I feel like everything we ordered was from QVC.
Crazy.
It's kind of the precursor to Amazon, if you think about it.
Yeah, it really
it
is.
is. Yeah, seriously, it's true.
They're still around too.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a product go on there, it's through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
We need
it's
to come
insane.
up with something, Raj. We need to get on there.
Move some mugs.
Yeah, we need to move some 9 Club mugs.
Yeah.
But so you're learning how to tic-tac, bonelessing into the
Right,
grass. You
and then,
got
like,
your
I ran
your
through-
truck.
I ran through that Veriflex board pretty quick, and then a buddy of mine across on the other street across, he got Jeff Kendall graffiti board. It's the hand coming through, and it's spray painting the wall, whatever. And then, so that's what we learned to ollie on, because it had a decent towel on it and everything. And then I ended up saving up money to go buy my first pro board, which was a Krishna Soy Hammerhead street style board. Like, if I ever find that thing in mint condition, I'm buying it. Like, I cannot, I've seen the reissues, but I
Right.
can't find the original.
Yeah.
I ended up breaking it, like, off a launch ramp.
Interesting.
Yeah, like,
Wow.
I was so bummed, but, like, I'm bummed I didn't keep it. I didn't
Yeah.
think back then. I was just like, cool, like, I get a new one.
Well,
But
it's
what I-
everybody nowadays is looking for their old boards.
Right.
You
The
know.
Skull Capes one or the soy one?
Hosoi.
Right.
So that was at a bike shop, because we didn't have, like, at the time, we didn't have a proper skate shop.
Everybody, yeah, the bike shops are big.
But
yeah.
it cost me $65 then. Like boards were $65 at the shop, and that's just like what you did,
Right.
So-
And then, so you said you were trying to like get sponsored and stuff.
Yeah,
and do
like-
all that stuff.
I worked at skate shops, and like
Oh.
I would ride for the shop,
Okay.
and that's generally I would ride for the shop and then get the job at the shop.
Oh yeah.
So like that's the extent of that. I think I filmed one sponsor me tape and sent it to Pal,
Whoa.
and then like when I look back at it, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Where's that?
Right?
Where's that footy at,
I know
dude?
exactly where it is. And it's like it's not gonna surface.
No, it's not gonna.
what?
no.
Yeah, like
You gotta
it's
put that
it's
line.
like
I
it's
know.
endless mini ramp like lines and like
And who was filming you?
Mike Morrison or Keith Nash, like those
Yeah.
are the guys I would skate ramp with at the park, And then in the streets, whoever you could just get, right?
Yeah.
So like I sent that video in, and then I never heard back.
No.
But one day it was like 6 months later, right? I just get a letter in the mail, and it's like Pal Peralta, and I'm like, oh, what is this? So like I had this moment of like, I'm getting sponsored, you know. Like,
a letter from college has arrived.
Right. Yeah. And then I open it up, and it's like straight up like, oh, thank you for submitting, your video. We're not adding any more people at this time. Yada yada yada.
Here's our latest intelligence report.
No, yeah. And then it's like, here's some stickers. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Do you take that approach now with Primitive? Do you send letters out and just
No. But, so what I will do is anybody that actually goes through the effort of emailing me their footage, I will watch every one of those.
Seriously? Wow. How do you have so much time, dude?
I appreciate the fact that they went through the hassle of figuring out my email.
Okay.
Which I still don't know how they're doing.
Let me guess.
Spanish.
Heath at primitive.com. I mean, how hard is it to figure that out?
That's not it.
No. Heath.B. Heath.Brinkley. At Primitive Skateboards.
No, again, like, but even, regardless if it's hard or not, the fact that somebody's going like,
going through the effort.
It's got to be right. Because the one thing I can't stand is kids sending me just Instagram clips.
Oh.
Where I'm like, look, or they'll like DM me and they'll say, hey, check out my Instagram page. And I'm always like, I'll respond and say, hey, I'm not going to go through your Instagram. Take the time to put together a video, send it in, and I promise you I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Right.
And like there's been times where like kids will send in, or like whatever, I don't know, however old they are, like where it's like, I think it's good. I don't really have necessary room. I can't sponsor everybody.
Yeah, of course.
So like, but I'll send them like a little care pack.
Oh, there you go.
Where I'm like, dude, that was sick. Like, I can't do anything, but like it might be like a board and tea or something like that. Where
that's cool.
Know. Because again, like I just remember being that kid, sending that tape to Powell, and that they did take the time to respond to me.
Right.
So like if a kid goes out of his way to really get me a legit video, then and I always if people ask, I get a lot of, hey, what are you looking for? What does it take for someone to make it? And I don't know that they're ever ready for my response because I take it serious. I really care. Like I care like to give the right advice because at least they're asking me.
Totally.
They're asking the right questions, and I always say, well, look, what works, what it takes for us might be different for another company.
Totally.
Like, but this is what it is, and this is what it means. And like I always like our baseline is always who our AMs are.
Okay.
And that's one of the first things I'll say. I was like, and right now it's Robert and it's Frankie, and it's like, look at those dudes, and ask yourself if you're up to that level.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, and there's kids that like I think show promise,
the potential.
So we always, what I'll do is like I'll go to my sales team and I'll say, hey, what do he writes for this shop, do they carry the product? Let's figure out a shop flow for this kid.
There you go. Oh, okay.
Like I've done that for like a few guys.
Dope.
So, but I'll take the time to give them advice at least, and like what it really takes. Because what happens a lot of times too is a lot of people think that it's what they want to do, and then when they actually get into the like what it takes, it's like they're like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was.
I don't just get free shit.
Right.
Like the skate, just like do whatever you want.
Right, because because it's like, especially I understand coming from outside of California, like the dream is to like just go on trips and do all this. But like anybody like from filming to like you guys like being sponsored, and that is taxing.
Oh yeah.
And boo-hoo. Like I get paid to ride a skateboard. But like there is like
it's a job.
It is work, and to some degree, and it's like I like even still we have to be mindful with the guys because we do a lot. I feel like as a board brand, we're doing a lot of production stuff.
Oh yeah.
Today I just hired another filmer.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
So we actually have 3 filmers now.
Wow.
And like because I believe in like producing content and like putting it out there, and there's obviously the big debate, like Instagram too much,
Right.
but it's like I didn't hire a filmer just to do Instagram content. We're trying to do like
Quality over
consistent,
quantity.
right?
Yeah.
Consistent, quality.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Who'd you hire?
Alex Kissinger,
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, from Sacramento?
Sacramento.
Yeah, sick.
You didn't call Raj.
Well, no,
He wasn't.
Ross has a job.
Oh, he was just telling me earlier. He's like, man, I'd love to work for Primitive.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
No? Okay.
I don't believe that.
Well, we'll get into the whole Primitive thing because that's what you're doing now. But let's go back to where the leading up to this. You know,
Go back
because
to Big Red and all that stuff.
Big Red. What's Big Red? Is this a?
I had to bring it up.
Big Red's a drink that is
Okay.
from Texas. I have a lot of family in Texas, so it's been my summers, vacations down there. And that's where I discovered it and just had this love affair. Anybody that knows Big Red, it's a split audience. There's not, you don't kind of like it. You either love it or you hate it.
Okay.
There's no middle of the road.
What does it taste like? Can you compare it to something that
To
I would
me,
know?
it's a slice of heaven. Okay.
I don't know I don't know what that tastes like. I'm
Okay.
trying to get a grasp
Right.
on what is it.
If you ask Paul,
Okay.
it tastes like Pepto-Bismol.
That's
I actually
Yeah.
don't mind Pepto-Bismol.
No,
yeah, I would.
it tastes.
sure.
Or if you ask Dwayne, it tastes like bubble gum. Like,
I like bubblegum too.
but
This is
it
my-
does. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. It doesn't taste anything like
Well,
that.
what do you think it tastes like?
A slice of heaven. That's all. There's nothing that tastes like
No.
it, and I'm serious. Like,
I'm
to
sure
me,
you can get it out here though. These special
you can, but it's not as good as it is from the source.
Oh, come, this, you're one of those people.
Look,
Like,
there was a time. There
spring?
was legitimately.
they ship it from
No.
Texas to here.
I know.
It changes in the truck. What's going on?
Sometimes the drinks sit out in the sun. The plastic bleeds into it.
Well, we could debate. We could debate Big Red all night. you
I
know?
just always remember when I first met him, he just always had the
Because I would drink like 8 or 9 of those a day. Now remember, I was
That's
like,
not good.
I was fat. Like, let's like be honest. Like, I was just fat, and like that was part of my diet.
Oh,
but
God.
I knew. So obviously, like I used to film,
Yeah,
right,
of
a lot,
course.
and like I knew every gas station that had Big Red. So when we would go film, already had it logged in my mind. I'm gonna go here, get a Big Red before we go to the spot.
Wow.
Jeez.
Like I was
Hardcore.
a super fan.
Jeez.
I mean, Kelly knows.
Yeah.
Dude.
Like anybody that was around me a lot then, like filming me with me a lot, like yeah, like it
Thought
was
you were insane.
yeah, and they still do, but you know.
Well, so you're growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, and then how do you like decide you want to start filming and take the trip to LA and do all that? I mean,
Just the progression of skating and getting my driver's license, driving downtown. We have a spot called the Legislative Plaza. Fred Gall, his first line in photosynthesis, like where he goes into the bank.
Yeah.
That's the plaza.
Oh,
Yeah,
sick.
Like that's what I
Okay.
grew up skating. You know,
Those
so
ledges are really good.
right,
Okay.
everything there is great. Just rolling across it is just amazing.
Yeah.
So that was just like the hub, and it's like it really is like it was like the Love or EMB of the South.
oh.
Is
You
it
know?
still skatable?
Yeah. Did you ever see the footage of Quell like ollieing up the 7 stair?
Oh
there?
yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like,
Quill's gnarly, dude.
yeah, like so that was just the hub. You would all meet up there, and then like you would skate around.
Yeah.
So I think it came from just me and like 2 or 3 of my buddies that always skated together. Because when we didn't make it to Nashville, we just were the North Nashville crew that just we stayed in our zone. Someone had a camera and we just started filming, and I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I think for me, where I really started grasping like what it meant to film was or how to film properly
Okay.
was Rhythm Genesis.
Oh wow.
And
Really?
watching like Ty's cuts between like clips,
Yep.
like where it would be multiple angles of the ledge
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, like little B-roll shots and everything.
Yeah.
else.
Right.
Every clip. So nuts.
Yeah, but that was for me was like where I kind of started grasping how to film for editing and like and that's where for me I just did this deep dive into like, oh man, I really want to get good at this. And like I remember I think when I was
Did you get into techno music?
no, like I appreciate it. I know a lot of people hated on that video for that, but I think I really like the fact that I like that Ty's always really gone out of everyone's comfort zone to try something different.
Yeah.
Love or hate it, you know,
Yep.
it's like takes a lot of balls to just do that.
Yeah.
Put
to
yourself
not stick with the norm and just
right.
Yeah,
like
for
to
sure.
put yourself out there and on that level, you know, and you even look at Ty's last 2 projects, you know, where like, you know, people said what they said about We Are Blood,
Yep.
but it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
he did what he felt was right, and he spent someone else's a lot of money that someone else gave him, but he still stuck to what he believed in and what he wanted to do, and that takes a lot. So for me, it just like I would just film and do VCR to VCR edits. My first camera was a VHSC. You know what those are, the little mini tapes that you put into the, like
No,
the
Big
Tape,
tapes. Yeah.
and then working for a lot of shops, being one of the staple. It was me and this other guy.
So you were filming your friends.
Right. So
Right.
this other guy, Gangster Wayne, he was
Gangster
like,
Wayne.
yeah, because he would like he was just.
Did you have a nickname?
No,
No, you didn't.
no.
Gangster way.
But Gangster Wayne, he
Young
was just,
Heath.
he was just always in like
Lil Heath. Little, everybody's little or young.
yeah. But he was always in like polo gear and hill figure.
Okay.
Like he would skate the 7 stair at the plaza like in Timberlands. Because
Sick.
Penny was skating in
shit.
Timberlands. But he would like frontside flip, backside flip, tray, like he would do
Wow.
it proper. And you're like, how do you do that? But yeah, he was Gangster Wayne. But he was like the, like, I kind of looked at his filming too, because he was trying a bunch of different stuff, you know?
okay.
And we were just kind of like the 2 guys that filmed a lot, you know?
Sick.
These guys that own this wakeboard shop, this plaza they were in had the best yellow curbs. We didn't have red curbs. We had yellow curbs. Okay. The shiny paint, you know?
Right, right.
And so they came out one day. We were like, oh, great, we're getting kicked out. And they were just like, hey, man, like, you guys can skate here all you want. Like, we know, like, because we get kicked out in front of all the other places. So we would just move to the next one, move to the next one, move to the next one. And they were just like, you guys skate here all you want, man. We think it's cool.
Sick.
Like, you know? And as we just developed a relationship with them, like, nobody on the north side of Nashville had a place to go for boards. And I was like, hey, what if I order some boards for you guys? Will you guys, you know, here's a small budget. Will you guys carry them? And they were like, yeah, we'll try it. And then like they sold out in the first week, and they were like, wow, we can sell skateboards.
That's rad.
And so eventually that just turned into me like working there. And when I was there, the guy that I worked with, this guy Craig, he was the wakeboarder that ran the shop when those guys were away. And because it was these 2 brothers that owned it. And I went to work one day, and he was like, hey, a buddy of mine, they know these guys that are doing this production, and MTV Sports wants to do a piece on not on Nashville, but on a small town, a small city, and its skate scene. And he's like, you should call him. So I called him, and he's like, hey, can you get me a tape in like the next 2 days? And I was like, yeah, sure. I called everybody, let's meet up. Like, I got to, because he wanted me to interview everybody, send whatever footage I had, that kind of thing. So that night I just went across the board and like interviewed. I wish I still had that tape. Who knows where it is? And interviewed it. Next day aired it. Like waited about a week, and then he called me. He's like, hey, yeah, we're gonna come to Nashville, man. It's like I was sick. Like we can't wait to do it. We'll be here this date. And they were like, crazy thing is like we had already bought tickets to go to Dayton, Ohio. Like they were already going to Dayton, and then that tape that I sent changed all their plans.
Interesting.
And so they came to Nashville. They did the piece. It's kind of weird, like the way it all like I don't know, as MTV would do. You
Did
know?
you ever see it on TV?
Yeah, we
Oh, you
saw it. Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
saw it. It ran for a long time. You know.
Sounds like that was kind of your first introduction into like doing interviews with people and really
work,
filming
yeah.
some shit.
Yeah.
Really doing
so
something.
what then happened? So at that time, I was working at the shop during the day, and I was working at Chuck E. Cheese at night.
Seriously.
Wow, no way.
Right.
Were you a character?
No, I never had to be the character. So my first son Jonas was on his way. So I was like, well, shit, I got to do something. Like, and like,
How old were you?
I was 27.
You were 27 back then.
Yes.
When did you come out here? I mean, we're jumping ahead, but I mean, I feel like you came out here
Do
way
you want the
earlier
story
than
to that, or do you just want me to skip? Am I taking too
go ahead.
long? I don't know.
Who was playing the mouse?
Not me. It was all like the teenagers that worked in the front.
Okay.
So like that's what I was doing, because I was like, well, no matter what, I want to still be around skateboarding. So I was like, I'll work in the shop during the day, and then I'll do Chuck E. Cheese at night.
Okay.
And then
Were you making pizza or something?
yes.
Oh.
So I just worked in the the back. And the manager was like 26, he was like my age, just super cool dude. And he was just always like, yeah, fuck those kids. Like, you don't have to do that shit. You just stay back here. I'll make them do everything.
Sick.
So they had to go clean all the piss out of the ball thing, you know, the ball pit, and like do all, yeah, dude, it's nasty. But again, it's kids. Like, what do you expect? Like, parents let their kids just run loose. Yeah. So they're like, yeah, you don't ever want to, like, if you take your kids to Chuck E. Cheese, do not go on that rampage with them. So right about that time, we went through, did all that. I'm at, you know, the board shop. I'm at Chuck E. Cheese, and I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Like,
and you were expecting a child, right?
And I was expecting a child. So it's like, it's kind of it's like one of those oh shit moments. Like, I'm an adult. So I'm just like pretty much like, all right, this is like, I guess I got to figure out a trade or like whatever. And like, even like maybe I can open a shop, you know, maybe I can do that. Like, but they called me out of nowhere and they were like, hey, like, would you be interested in doing a video magazine? I was like, what do you mean? These guys that did the production.
Oh, MTV.
No, not MTV. They hired a production company to do that. Gotcha. So these guys were an independent, like production company. And they were like, do you want to do a video magazine? I'm like 411? They were like, yeah. They're like the only ones doing it, right? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, what's the game plan? They're like, well, we don't have one. You're the game plan.
Did these dudes skate too, or they just kind of knew?
They just that
like
there was they grew up in California and like they were just kind of around like surfing and skating.
They knew what was going on, but they weren't really in the
right. Yeah. You know, they just saw like the opportunity. You know,
they
were
needed
like
somebody.
Right. Like why?
From Nashville.
Yeah.
Right, because when they came, I organized everything. I was just like, you know, these are the spots we'll go to. This is like, you know, because they were like, this is the time restraints we have.
They saw your work ethic.
Right. I think that's what it was. And they asked me that question. They're talking about like real production. And I was like, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right?
I was like, there's not a chance in hell I'm saying no. Let me get out there and I'll figure it out.
For sure.
Because I truly believe there's nothing I cannot learn. Like if I want to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So I get that's with anybody. Like I'm not special shit.
You're special. Special guest.
Special needs.
Three times special.
Were you planning on moving the whole fam out to California?
So here's the thing. They gave me 8 weeks to pull off a video.
Oh wow.
Jeez.
In Nashville.
A 30-minute video.
Okay.
Which, you know, 8 weeks going to California, not knowing a soul.
Yeah, trying to film people.
In California.
Right. The only contact I had ever made was Bill Keller. Bill Keller is he's the Soul Tech rep.
Yeah,
like
Team BK, dude.
Right, Team BK.
I'm like, how do I know that name?
Yeah.
So he had already done his own little video projects. And I forget how he reached out to me or something, but I'd sent footage of him of some of the crew, like Nathan Smith, and like, you know, like Nathan was like the best dude at the time in Nashville.
He was always in those Logics.
Yeah. He's the guy that won Tampa Am, like the year that everyone thought Kerry Getz is like Gary. Honestly, Kerry Getz, that should have been his year, and then somehow Nathan just did the run of a lifetime. Don't get me wrong, Nathan was good, but like it was just he pulled a flawless, like amazing run, and just took it right.
So now you're out in California.
Filming for
not knowing anybody.
I made a plan. I'm like, all right, this is what I'll do. I'll film some stuff here of some of the local guys. I know I'm going to be in Austin for at least 3 or 4 days. I'll find out if there's a park there. So I reached out, found out if there was a park there, somehow got in touch with like the guy that filmed the people there. I was like, how much footage do you have in the park? And I was like, all right, we'll do a park edit, you know? And so when I got there, I met up with them. I went in and actually tried to hook up and film with some people, whatever. And then just bolted to like LA. Now getting to LA coming from Nashville, where everyone knows who you are, and really getting out to LA, and this is kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, about you don't realize how serious it can be until you're in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so getting out here and realizing how serious dudes took filming parts.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know you, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to film with you. Yeah.
Right. I don't want to film. Like, I don't know. And so it was like, I'm like, dude, I'm not going to pull this off. I literally had 8 weeks to do it.
Crazy.
And it is by far the worst video ever made. 100% the worst video. The first Logic was the name of the
Logic.
video.
Right.
So like, you know, they just were like, all right, name it, come up with the, and of course I'm just like, all right, like, and I'm really.
You named it Logic?
I named it Logic, and then of course I'm just like looking at everything full.
Why Logic?
I had a reason.
A logical reason.
There was there was like this definition of like, you know how there's like 80 definitions for a word,
For sure.
And I just found the one that worked for like, you know, and I just thought it sounded cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I was pressed for time. Like I had to deliver, you know? So like.
So you hand them this video. Are they disappointed? Are they just
No,
that you made something?
they're like, oh, cool, you did it, you know?
Oh, sick.
And like what was cool though is like I got nervous because they were working on Avid at the time. Avid is, you know what Avid is.
Yeah, editing program.
And I was just like, they were like, yeah. And they were like, you know what? Just sit down with this guy and he can do it.
All right.
And I never had to admit that I didn't know how to run Avid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, I just worked with this dude that would like, you know, do all the, you know, push the buttons and all that stuff.
And tell him what to do, basically. Right.
Because it wasn't until like Final Cut came out that it really was easy to like edit. Like
Common theme though with filmers on the show, Raj. Their first experience was telling somebody else what to do in these big machines, you know, Avid and some other.
Yeah, but like having like Josh Stewart on, I was like,
Josh Stewart.
Yeah, I was so impressed. I was like, dude, he was so far ahead.
Right.
Like him being on that forefront, you know, where it's like.
All out of pocket too?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I sucked so bad. like these guys are so pro, and I was just like, just winging it, you know, any way I could. I felt like I could always film solid enough that like, you know, like people could trust me.
There you go.
But like I've never been great at editing ever.
No.
I know my weaknesses. I have no problem admitting that.
Right.
But I made the best of it that I could. So we delivered that video.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, how did you meet up with the skaters though? Did you just go to spots and be like,
Yeah,
hey, what up?
so Nathan Smith went out with me to California. Like, you want to roll?
Oh.
And like we literally stayed in the editing bay. Like they had like it was like on the 4th floor of this building off 3rd Street Promenade.
Oh,
and so like
interesting.
I spent like 6 to 8 weeks. I forget how long it was. Pretty much sleeping on a couch in an edit bay, and then I would just wander 3rd Street Promenade at night.
But would you go to skate spots and just be like,
yeah, we would just be. Because obviously, like you just want to go to all the famous spots,
Right.
And so you would just like go to a skate.
Street?
You would just go to the skate shop and ask, like, do you have anybody on your team? Does anybody want to go film? Like, I spent a lot of time at the graffiti pit.
Yeah.
I have a love relationship with the graffiti. I just, as bad as it smelled and as piss and shit ridden as it was awesome.
It's the best.
Just because of like who you would see show up.
Totally.
And just being there and just like off the like, you know, being there after like, you know, I've already watched Mouse like a million times.
I think you asked me to film and I blew you off.
You probably did. Hey, the best experience. This was, and I tell this story a lot, especially when Chris Ortiz is in front of me, because this was my first experience with Chris. So we show up, me and Nathan show up, just like that's our daily routine. Like, we know we can go there, and like who knows who's gonna be there? Because like I'm like just going, hey, like I'll see somebody and be like, and they're like, do they have a filmer? No. Do you want to get a clip? Like, you know, that's how it kind of started. Like I got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And so I show up and I see Pat Chinita, and like instantly I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Pat Chinita, you know, like, and he's setting up a big like 5-gallon drum. No, what are they? Those big drums, 50-gallon drums they used to have.
Big metal.
Right.
Trash
He's turning on its side, putting on the stage, and I'm just sitting there, and I look over and I just see this guy with a like snapshot camera on a tripod already set up, and he's just standing there. And I'm looking around and I'm like, there's no filmer. I wonder if it's like, is it crazy to ask Pat to like, you know, like he doesn't know me.
Right.
You know? And so like I walk up and I just start small talking with Chris. If you don't know Chris, trying to small talk with him and you don't know him is really, really intimidating. And I don't know that this is Chris Ortiz from 411.
Right.
I didn't even recognize that it's Chris Ortiz from the credits of Rhythm Genesis. Yeah. Because he's singing Come On Feel the Noise like in the credits. Go back and watch. So I'm like, small talk. Hey man, like how's it going? I'm Heath, like, you know, and like I'm just out here from Nashville and like small talk. And then I'm like, hey, I'm trying to start this video magazine. Oh wow. As soon as I said that, he just does this. he's like, oh yeah, tell me about it.
And you have no idea.
And like in my mind, I'm like watching this body language just completely shift, you know? And I'm like, what's going on, dude? And then all of a sudden I'm like, I kind of look at Pat and I'm like, oh, it's Chris Ortiz from 411. And I'm like, yeah. And like, I kind of gave him some details, but at that point I'm like, I'm not really welcome here right now. Like, you know, like I felt
he
really,
vibed you out.
He did. He really did. And I remind him of that every time I see him. Yeah.
Does he remember this?
He doesn't remember it the way I tell it.
Okay.
And I promise you, I'm not embellishing whatsoever. But just for the record, Chris is one of the greatest humans.
Oh, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has done so much for me in my career. Like, he kept me afloat in really, like, bad times financially. Right. Like, when he would give me jobs to help me. You know?
Right,
so, yeah, Chris is a great guy.
Okay.
But that was, like, my introduction to California and trying to, like, film. So I get the video done. Uh-huh. We wrap it up. At this point, I don't know where this is going. And they're just like, all right, we're going to sell it and we'll call you and let you know if we're going to move forward. And I was like, that's it?
So this was like a tester.
But that wasn't discussed beforehand. That was just like, okay. And I'm like,
so you're just chilling now.
I'm like, so I'm going back to Texas, I guess. So I go back to Texas. And my brother-in-law had started a plumbing company. And what he did, he would go in, he laid the foundation for new houses. Okay. And he would put the pipes in before they poured the concrete down. Oh, yeah. So we would like lay the pipe on the foundation, like whatever, and then run a line to the road. The day started, like we would be at the place at 5:30 picking up supplies. Okay. And of course, my brother-in-law, like the guy that he is, he had to get a backhoe that had lights on it. So we would work until like 8 or 9 at night. Wow. And repeat. Wow. You know, like 5 days a week. That's what we did. Sometimes on the weekend, you know. But I was like, all right, like, cool. Like, maybe they'll call, maybe they won't. Like, so got to be about 3 months went by.
3 months.
Right. So I got back to this, like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, you know, and it's cool.
Did you make any money doing that video?
I mean, they paid me to do it, but I didn't make any, I didn't have a back end deal.
Yeah.
Right.
And then sometime in like spring, I get a call. They're like, hey, we got the sales report back. It did great. And in my mind, because like you got to understand, like I knew how bad the video was. Right. I was not like, I was embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's no way anybody's going to buy this fucking thing. So I was just, when they called me, I was just like, I almost cried. I was like, this is my salvation, you know? And they were like, we're committed. Like, we'll give you X amount of money and like, you got to move to California and like, we'll help you come out, like all that stuff. And then, you know, we need you here, like basically in 2 weeks.
How many did they sell?
I have no idea. No. I don't know what the number was. Huh. I didn't care.
Who had parts in the first one?
I don't know. It's been so long. It's so cringeworthy. Like I get secondhand embarrassment when I go back and watch that. And I'm like, I'm not really that stoked.
Like, that's your first project.
Well, no, it's my first project. I'm not good at editing. I've never done a production. Right. I just said, yeah, and like tried. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. You know, like I don't want, as much as I love my dad, my brother-in-law, I'm like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Right. You know, like I still want to be in skateboarding. It's what I love. So whatever, I'm like, all right, I got to figure out where I'm going to live. And of all places, I'm like, we got to live in Huntington Beach. Okay. Because of like the Warner Ave crew and like the skate park and like I'm like, that's where skateboarding is. Like even still going to California, like I still just thought skateboarding lived in Orange County. Okay. You know, like I didn't realize, like when you grow up, you know, outside of LA, you just think LA is like this small pocket and where it's like, no, dude, it's going to take like 3 hours to get to that spot. Yeah. You know, if we're lucky. Yeah. So we moved out, like whatever, started the second project. I owe a lot to this person I'm about to say. So I remember I got there and I'm like, I think I asked for the account base of people that picked it up and started trying to dive into like what shops and like just trying to make connection with skaters and seeing who I could maybe go film. And so somehow I'd heard about Joey Brzezinski. Okay. And I was like, hey man, like I called him. He was working at Active Rancho Cucamonga. And I was like, hey dude, like I want to send you this video. I would love to like come out and like maybe film you guys. Like, and at this point I knew like Chaffey, the spot.
Yeah.
I didn't realize like that was his thing. Like that was him.
It was a mecca of the IE.
JP, Josh Nair, like Richard, you know, like all those dudes. And that's just where like, it was ledge heaven.
Yeah.
And so I sent him one or Active got one. I forget what it was. I remember being like, so you watched the video? And he's kind of like, yeah. And I was like, cool, man. Like, what'd you think? And he goes, he goes, it was tight, you know, like, and I knew he was lying, you know, but he's like, he tells me today, he's like, I didn't want to be a dick, you know. Even back then though, he was kind of a little prick, you know. Like, I love you, Joey, but you were kind of a prick. So
is that when he was Bucky? He had the
Bucky. Yeah. No, he had grown a little bit. I mean, his teeth grew he grew into his teeth. So it was Joey, like me saying, hey dude, do you care if I come and film with you? And he said, yeah. And I owe a lot to Joey because if it wasn't for him, it opened the door. Because what I soon realized once I got to Chaffey and saw all these dudes, that 411 was ignoring all these people except for Richard, right?
Mulder, yeah.
Richard, I think Josh Nair kind of had a little bit of shine.
Okay,
you know, but like I was like, there are so many good skateboarders that nobody knows about.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you had seen like media was around, so you'd see like, you know, you'd see Tom and you'd see Denman and you'd see like, but there was no focus ever put on those dudes.
Right.
So I soon figured out like, I'm going to go film all these sick skaters that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And so if you look at Logic 4, 5, and 6, a large part of those are dudes that were still on the come up.
Those are the best Logics you made. 4, 5, and 6.
For me, they were the funnest because I wouldn't say like when I would go back and watch them now, I'm like they're still not. They're
skating
not.
was good though.
Yeah, the skating was good.
Yeah.
The editing was horrible. And then another thing that happened is the distribution company got into Best Buy and into like I think Sports Chalet and something else. So they were like, we don't have clearance on any of the music you use. Like Joey skates to Jackson 5.
Oh yeah, that was a good part.
That's the original. Yeah. And then by the time they told me, they had already done a 3-disc collection of 4, 5, and 6. Right. This is obviously I'll fast forward a little bit, but like they did a collection of 4, 5, and 6 and just dubbed over everything with new music.
The skating too. No skate sounds.
None. And I'm like, dude, I'm already not that good at this. Like,
and you made it even worse.
Right? Like, I'm trying everything here. But like I figured out really quick, like, there's a lot of good skaters out here that need to have some shine. And it was like seeing Brian Edwards,
Blushing.
you know, Denman, you know, like
Jess
really.
McCraney, was he around at that time?
I just like
he was early 2000s.
Yeah, he was like
JP
Jadid, you know, where I was just like, dude, it was a sick crew to go skate with, and that's how I ended up. Like, it's funny how I met Richard because Richard was already like the big man on campus, you know, like so it took me like a couple months of filming everyone else before he fully committed. And Richard was always nice, but it was one of those things.
I don't know, dude.
Like he would always like, yeah, man, I want to do a part, you know, and you're like, all right, so like when, you know, and he's like, I don't know, you know. Right. So, but you know, but like ultimately, like, you know, getting my first clips in like real videos with like Richard was like a big thing too, you know.
How often were they putting out these Logic videos?
Every 3 months at that point.
Okay, so you had a good amount of time.
Yes, but for the second and third one, it was still just me, and I was reaching out to guys trying to get. When was the first time like?
That's how I met you.
Which one?
You hit me up for 4.
Okay.
Oh, you hit Roger up to get footage from him? Or
right, and I forget how that even happened.
Was it a Boston section in that?
Yeah, I feel like Jerry Fowler or someone like might have, or Kenny. Actually, maybe Kenny.
Maybe I was meeting, because I think Kenny might have moved. Yeah, because he did move to Redlands. So maybe it was through that connection, I guess. But I remember you like doing backside nose grind, backside 180 out. And I was like, damn, he's good.
Little did you know.
Yeah.
But he did it. He did it mid, like on this granite rock, like, and he did like backside nose grind, backside pop out.
And like no
mid.
one was doing that.
Yeah,
back
and I'm like,
then.
this dude
Lee
films.
Smith was the only one
Oh yeah.
I ever saw do it.
Yeah.
You did good.
And didn't you edit that?
I did.
So you edited yourself into the edit.
Of course. And Forrest Kirby filmed that.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
sick.
Yeah.
Super sick.
So, you know, yeah, so I just somehow started networking with other filmers. And again, I think it's a miracle because the early ones were so bad. Like 4, 5, and 6 were tolerable.
I gotta say, number 6, probably the one that was the best one ever made.
Right. So you want to hear a funny story about 6?
Yes,
Because you're
please.
closely connected to this guy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, of course, being like still like new to like everything, because all this happened really quick. Like 1 to 6 happened in a very short period of time. So I remember I started filming Denman a lot. So I would go down and like I would like show he would, hey, can you come with me and show my footage to Kareem and to at the time it was Abe who was kind of overseeing like action. And I was, yeah, sure, you know, and like somehow I started networking through those guys, you know, and somehow I got a commitment from Guy.
What?
Right, to do a part. I'm like, I've got Guy Mariano. And what do? I go and I take an ad out in Transworld. It's gonna 6 was gonna be Daywan and Guy.
Okay.
And there's an ad that runs Daywan and Guy, Logic 6.
No way.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I can't get this guy to respond. And this is my, like, I've never experienced this, right? I've never experienced like what that's like, you know? And it wasn't like, Guy is the best dude. So I'm not like, this is by no means a judge of his character. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck am I? Right? You know, like he's busy. He's filming like really important
Taking
shit.
out the ad too might have actually
Scared 'em.
backfired
Yeah.
and scared people too.
I'm the green one who's like, yeah, cool. This is what we got to do. Like, I got to get an ad in there. Like, you know, let's lay out the ad. Cool. And so I got to a point where I'm like, this is not happening. We got to, like, I got to figure something out. So I had met Kenny at this time. We'd been filming and like everything like pretty regularly because of the Chaffey crew and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there one day and I'm like, dude, are you down to film a part? And his response is like, yeah, dude, I'm down. What I took is like, I'm down, let's do it. To me was like, right now.
Today.
To Kenny, it was just,
Kenny was like,
Kenny's like, 8
sometime.
months now.
we'll work on it.
Yeah.
So what do? I rush back. We got to put a new ad out. Kenny found out he was filming a part for Logic 6 as he opened up the ad in Transworld.
Did he call you?
No.
He didn't even say
No.
anything.
He told me, he said he opened it and he's like, rad. Like, I guess I'm filming a part now.
Was that the ad with all the faces?
And we had, that was the ad with all the faces.
Oh, yeah.
So, which I took from Goodfellas. Like, it just was like, I'd be sick, you know.
Great.
Kenny was a sport. Like, Kenny, if you know Kenny, he is like not happy with anything. A lot of skaters aren't happy with anything.
Yeah.
But he will literally do the like best trick ever and make it look better than anyone and be like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want anybody to see that.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I'm like, dude,
Play it
you're
down.
you're actually like punishing people by not letting them watch you skate.
Right.
Like like he just, and Kenny being the guy he is, you know,
Yeah.
he's just super humble. So, but I felt really bad, you know, but I'm like, well, shit, we still got to do this.
Yeah.
Like, we still have to make this happen. And I already had some footage of him.
Okay.
And it was short, sweet. He said, I want to use a song, and that was it. And something he said something to me like, it was like 2 or 3 years later where he's like, dude, I still get hit up about that part a lot. He goes, I'm
Sick.
like, I think he was happy that he went through with it. I hope he is.
Okay.
Sorry, Kenny. I love you. Thank you so much for being a sport and doing that, you know? But I got flack for that video, though, because I put so much focus on those kids. Especially, it was like Paul, Mike,
Okay.
and Justin. And then Anthony, I'd been around Anthony a lot, you know. But I remember that video coming. I just remember because like that's how I got introduced to Paul, because Nigel Alexander had been filming Paul, and he's like, hey, like, and I'd been getting footage from him, and I remember like just seeing the progression, right? And then Steve Ireland had been like filming and submitting footage, and he had filmed Mikey and Justin, and I was like, well, these dudes do parts because they're so good. Yeah. And I remember that part coming out, and like friends calling me and like, I don't know, dude, these little kids, it's hard for me to get into them.
Dude, they're so good.
And I was like, you guys are tripping. I said, these guys are so good. I was like, just wait and watch what happens, you know? And so it was like pretty cool to see like that come together, and like Day One and like Kenny doing, you know, what they did, what they had time for, and then just like seeing those kids really go in on it, you know, and like be able to do that. And like I'm super appreciative to this day for that video, you know. And that was like, that ended up being the last one that I was really working for Logic. Okay. Like, because at that time, like I said, I've been going into I don't know, was it
Mastermind?
No, Mastermind was when Kareem took City Stars in Action out. I guess it was Dwindle. But
I think it was World Industries at the
I would go down, and like I was showing, and like I think it was one day, it was Joey, and like the first time I met Joey, he was just like, oh, who filmed this stuff, you know? And Ryan was like, oh, this guy, you know? And
Joey Surreal?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Kareem was there, and I'd met Kareem before, you know, but I don't know that he really like remembered me, but I wouldn't be anyway. Like I remember Joey just, hey, who filmed this stuff? And Ryan was like, oh, this guy, you know. And they like, it just kind of turned in like, hey, we need a filmer, you know, do you want the and so I was like, yeah, man, like, of course, like, because me, like, growing up with all the world, you know, having all the world videos and Kareem, you know, I was like, yeah, for sure, man. And so that's when I just was like, all right, like, I'll still consult and contribute to Logic. And then at that point, it was like, I had brought on Mike Range. I don't know if you remember Mike. So I had brought on Mike Range. Like, he was helping me, and he pretty much took over after that. And then it passed a couple hands after Mike.
Wasn't Brennan Conroy filming for you guys too?
Brennan, I think I gave Brennan his first job in skateboarding. Yeah, maybe. Like, Brennan was awesome. He still is awesome.
Another opportunity's knocking.
Right. How am I not going to work? Like, this is the progression, you know? I think that Logic really showcased Paul, Mikey, and Justin, and that's when Kareem was really going through like, hey, I want to build a young squad. Okay. And so like then just those dudes coming in, and obviously having crazy respect for Kareem, and like, oh, this is crazy, you know. Yeah. And then we just set off to film the City Star Street Cinema. Yeah.
So you guys all kind of went over there together, it seems like?
I was there, like, I was there first, and then, like, I can't remember. Yeah. Like, it just worked out.
How did Paul Rodriguez get on City Stars? Did you reach out to him for that, or?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think I did. Probably Joey. Joey probably called him, you know? Like, hey, dude, we saw your footage. It's rad. You want like whatever, you know? I think he was riding for DNA at the time.
DNA.
Yeah.
There was some footage of Chris in Logic every now and then.
I forget how we connected, but there's
no fucking clue.
I have two.
I don't no clue.
Gaps.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
maybe I don't know, but they were on a bank. That's in the. It's like at a parking lot in the middle of like the main road.
Nollie heel, nollie back. That was the first time I shot too with like Rick Cossack. I don't know if he was there that day, but
I don't think he was.
Maybe I went back and shot it with him, but I was like tripping.
Right. I was tripping because you were in Listen.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, because, dude, I ran Listen until like it couldn't play anymore.
Great video.
Like, Great video. I remember like, right. I just remember going to the courthourhouse because like something that's always blown my mind is James Craig doing half cab nose blunt drop down.
That's the best trick that's done at the
I'm like, dude, you could die.
It's gnarly.
Like if you whip out and you're like rolling the windows up and you just like go straight to flat.
It's head high at least over. Right. I mean, back then too, overhead high with little kids, you know.
Right. So like, of course, you were my favorite part, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
What about Robbie, dude?
No, dude, come on. Like, Robbie was just next level.
Yeah, Robbie, yeah. Chris and Robbie shined to that one.
We did, yes.
Hey, James did pretty good, too. Let's be
but his
fair.
part wasn't that long.
Listen, everybody had a great. That's why the video was so good. I mean, Chris Swanson, like, it just had such a great, like.
Daniel Haney's falls.
Daniel Haney.
His falls were insane.
And it was definitely like, it was kind of a first of its kind with no music.
Yeah.
But if you go back to Rubbish Heat,
Ron Chapman's part.
yeah. So
back in the parking lot when you were like, oh shit, this is Chris Roberts from Listen. What were you?
You had that line you had at the beach gaps, dude. You like nollied over the block.
Oh yeah.
did I film that?
Tray flip
don't
at nollie
know.
heel. That was fucking sick.
Dude,
Thank you.
I have a mountain of tapes.
I
where
bet.
I'm like, but see, I didn't like going through and logging all my footage. So what I did is I have all these master tapes.
That's awesome.
That's all I have, and they're all duplicated.
Oh,
And
wow.
like, I'm actually looking for somebody to come into Primitive
I was
and
gonna say.
log all that footage.
should.
I have
Yeah.
a DV deck here.
Well,
Pop it in.
I'm not. No, you got to come to me.
Yeah,
My-
Hire Raj, dude.
I know,
There you
Raj,
go.
I'm kind of looking for someone who's like young and like ambitious and just hungry to like just get it done. You know.
What logic? What logic was that?
Not that Roger's not hungry and ambitious, but he's really busy. You know,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got other things happening. So
I can't.
What
Man, I
lo-
want to
what-
say it was like
what logic
3
was
or
that?
5 or something like that.
I think it might have been 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
I think I flaked on the.
yeah, because it was like Chris Roberts' part next to
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
never came
Again,
out.
here's Heath saying,
put it out ads.
putting it out there. Heath, nobody wants to do it.
I'll say this
Go
though: I never committed someone to something they didn't commit to themselves.
You know what? I mean, as skating though, as skaters, right?
Nice way of putting
Yeah,
that.
I'll do a part. I'll do a
about their
part,
ass.
and then
Yeah.
something else comes up. And logic just doesn't really seem like,
I'll do a part. Not for you.
So what you're admitting to right now is you cool guide me. Let's
Probably.
admit it's
Yeah.
fine. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like I still like you.
No, but if other things come up, Heath.
No, look again. I'm a small fish in a
Yeah.
big pond.
Right.
You know.
But now, City Stars, you're filming for them.
Yeah, they
right?
hired me to do the filmer and
Okay.
like do like my shitty editing that I did.
Yeah.
And,
Are you now learning how to edit yourself?
yeah, I just learned like they got me like Final Cut Pro, and I learned like we ended up doing street cinema with this guy that I knew who had Media 100, and so like Kareem pretty much like I was there, but Kareem was pretty much I want to do this, I want to do that, like
Yeah.
music like he picked Paul's song,
Oh, yeah.
Made a statement.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and plus it's Kareem, and
Yeah.
you're like, all right, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, but Kareem was very like hands-on with everything,
Mhm.
so it was going to be like exactly what Kareem wanted.
I wish he had footage in there. That would have been cool.
Yeah, Kareem, his whole logic was he just wanted, like, it was about the kids. He wanted the
Okay.
kids to shine, and Kareem had like tidbits here and there. Like,
yeah.
there's something about that old guard where they were like those OGs that were like, they didn't just throw anything out.
Yeah.
Like,
for
if
sure.
if you got glimpses of glory, like that was good enough.
Right.
He had some clips that was in the beginning of it or something like that.
Maybe.
It was really sick footage though.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I
Yeah.
actually have the master, like the one that we took on tour, and we did like our little thing. Like
That's a
all that
really
stuff.
good video, man.
Yeah, like it was like it's still today. Like I hear people. If we go and do a signing, like it's almost inevitable that someone walks up with a copy and,
Oh, I bet.
and they have Paul
Yeah.
sign it.
Yeah.
That's
So
How long did it take to make that video?
we had this thing where we would go to Reno a lot.
Interesting. Okay.
So like King Gell had a buddy up there that he spent a lot of time in Reno. He's now a friend of ours, like Eric Lanto.
Okay.
yeah.
Owns a shop up there, Classic.
Oh.
It's great little shop. On those trips, I remember these trips specifically. So like by that time you like you had the older dudes, right? And then you had these young kids. And at that time it was Paul, Justin, Mike, Spanky.
Javi was in the middle, maybe.
Yeah, but like
He had a good part in that video.
no, he did, but like Hav was like I'm talking about
Like-
specifically like Reno, and like definitely trips.
Oh.
But Hav like was like mature at a young age.
Yeah, seriously.
Like he was already like OG, right?
Yeah.
At 18, he was like an OG, right?
Yeah.
And so like what would happen is we would go to Reno, especially. We went there so much. There were so many hidden gems there, right? That's why we would go constantly.
Okay.
Plus, we got great rates on hotels,
Yeah,
and
that's great. Yeah.
Eric was the best host, and like whatever. So what would happen is we'd go skate during the day, and we would go back to the hotel. All the older dudes would go to the bar,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And we'd be sitting around and I'd be like, all right, I'll just hang out with the kids, because it's like, I would never been like going into like hanging out and drinking and all that,
Doing
Yeah.
some gambling maybe.
Yeah, like I don't like if that's your thing, cool. Like Ed just was like, I'd rather just like talk about skating, Like
Right,
I remember like Lee Smith would be like, dude, how much are we gonna talk about skateboarding? No matter what, the kids would get restless, and they'd be like, let's go light something up.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck.
Oh, you weren't you.
No, I was down, but
But
I
you
was
wanted
like
to-
already like I've like we'd eaten dinner
for the
and
full
like we're
day.
back at the hotel like and it's like one of
Day's
those
done.
right where I'm
Yeah.
like my mental is like cool, man, like I'm just gonna kind of like kick it and like whatever, and it's like, hey man, we want to go like this, like let's go
Yeah.
because they got their second win.
Of course.
And of course, like the first 5 minutes, I'm like, damn it, like
But then you go there, you get into
no,
it.
but like there's nothing about that experience that was bad.
Yeah.
Outside of just them all being little assholes, and they were all little assholes.
There was like a bunch of footage, or was footage in that video, people like just torturing each other. It looked like
Right,
Yeah.
right. So like, yeah, I mean, that was just constant. I mean, the worst out of them all was just in case. Oh yeah, dude, he was a hell child.
Really?
Oh my gosh, he just when the phrase "no fucks given," like
Yeah,
that
was
like
him.
invented by just in case.
Oh.
Like so, but like we would, dude, it would be like 11 o'clock, and like we would just go.
Wow.
And we would film, and like whoever wanted to go would go, and like there was more than one time we were like, all right, the sun's coming up and we're still filming clips.
Yeah.
Like, and it was rad.
Okay.
It was just one of those things where it was like, I'm glad I went through that experience because like documenting those kids, specifically, and like just some of the stuff that they did, it was just rad to be there for.
For sure.
It was great to have lived that experience, but now if you film for Primitive, I expect that exact same thing from you.
Yeah, okay.
Like
Right.
I give a like pre-hire speech
Oh.
where it's like, this is the job, this is a responsibility. If you get called at 3 a.m, someone's go film a clip, you're up and out the door to film a
Wow.
clip.
No wonder you didn't hit Raj up for the job.
Well, no, I'm just like, no, nobody's doing that. But I'm just saying, you have to love what you do so much
Yeah.
that you are down. I said, because no matter what, these guys are the most important thing that exists in this whole company than anything. Those dudes.
Yeah.
And it's like when they want to go do it, go do it.
Go,
Yeah.
For sure.
So and
for
that's
sure.
that's the pep talk.
Okay.
Don't take the job unless you're willing to do that. Because I went through that. Now what I've learned is that just because I did that, like it's kind of hard to expect everyone to like do that, but still like don't come crying to me if it's like, oh, like we filmed, like I'm like, dude, isn't that
Yeah.
you told me that's what you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now you're crying about it.
Right. Right.
I mean, you get Spanish Mike, he films for 2 hours, and he's like,
He's done.
he's like, dude, I worked all day. And you're like, dude, you just worked for 2 hours. Yeah, we gotta go get like a shower and like, go get my 5th meal of the day. Like, and you're like, Mike, I love Mike.
He's great.
But it's
You
still-
guys is-
You guys have a good little.
Yeah.
but like, again, that was a great experience.
For sure, I
Like,
bet.
it really was like for me the hard knocks of like, but like it was like I was just again grateful. Like I'm like from small town Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like I'm here, traveling the world.
With these guys, no less.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
like I'm like, this is awesome. You know?
Were you team manager at that point too,
No,
or not? No,
like
not yet.
I think Joey did a bunch of that stuff when we moved out of when it moved from World Dwindle,
Yeah.
whatever it was at the time. Like Joey took on a lot of responsibility. This guy, Speed, DJ Speed.
Okay, yeah,
like
yeah,
he was
yeah.
he was in the mix. He did a lot of stuff
Okay.
to help out,
Sick.
So I just like as a filmer, and you know this, you micro team manage. The filmer spends more time with the team than anybody else.
For sure.
Like they have a stronger bond and relationship with the guys.
Yeah.
So to some degree, yeah, but I wasn't sending packages or anything like that. You know, it was just one of those things where it's like you would just be like, all right, let's go here, or let's.
Or the kids are hungry. You got to go stop it and get food. And,
right.
You know.
They're like, hey, where take us to eat? Right. You know, like that kind of thing. So.
Well, what do you want to eat? I don't know.
Right. Right.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. But I literally got to watch those dudes grow up, especially Paul. Like, you know, because Paul and Spanky and even Dev they were pretty young at that time.
Yeah.
You know. But just having like memories of Paul like literally sleeping, he would take his board to bed and sleep with it in the bed.
That's
no way.
Wow.
And I remember just like, because for some reason we always roomed together.
Uh-huh.
I just remember being like, that's so fucking weird. But that dude loved skateboarding so much.
Right.
Like that was pure love. And it stuck with me where I'm like, dude, this kid sleeps with a skateboard. Crazy. He cradled it.
Fucking dirty ass board in the bed. Like those wheels must be dirty as hell.
Right, right. But it was cool.
Yeah,
like it was
sick.
cool seeing just all those kids like turn and grow up.
They blew up after that
God.
video.
They did their thing, man, and it was just cool to just be along for the ride.
I mean, even when you were filming it, you must have realized that like something special was going on. And
I knew that Logic 6. I knew. I knew right away. I was like, these kids are sick.
Right.
You know.
It's like, I love how you guys went from like Logic and then all went to City Stars kind of together. It's pretty sick.
That was a cool period, man. Yeah. And then, you know, things like I think the catalyst for kind of the fallout of everything was like when 9/11 happened, and then like this gnarly recession came afterwards, and people weren't buying skateboards. It wasn't a priority anymore. And, you know, Paul having the opportunity to go to Girl, and that was his, you know, Eric was his like, it was like for him, it was Eric and Tom.
Costin,
you know, that was his two like holy grails. Like if he could be a part of anything they were doing, he wanted to do it. For right. Sure. So
what was your thinking when he was going to Girl and this kind of thing was? Did you see it falling apart in front of your?
Like I remember we were in Kareem's living room. He had a house in the valley, and we were sitting there, and he manned up and he told us like, "Hey, dudes, like, you know, like I'm gonna do this." And like my immediate thought was like, "It's done." Like, you know, Paul was just light years ahead of everybody.
And you guys both turning pro.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, he had like boards ready to show at trade show. Like trade show was coming up. That's why he got us together and told us. Yeah. I don't know if he told Kareem before, and then Kareem was like, "Hey, let's have a team meeting."
Yeah. Because they didn't produce the boards yet. They had the samples.
There was 4 boards ever produced. Paul has one of them by chance because this rad dude came up to me at Tampa Am or Tampa Pro like about a year ago and was like, "Hey, like he was, I forget where he's from, I'm so sorry, but like he's from Eastern Europe somewhere." Okay. And he's like, "I have Paul's first board." And I was thinking like, "Oh, cool, the girl?" And he's like, No, I have a City Stars board."
No.
Wow.
And I was like,
how the fuck do you have that?
No, it's like, that's impossible because I saw it one time. Yeah. I saw 4 of them together one time, and then they went, they were gone as soon as he quit. Because people grabbed them. They were like, "This is like priceless, right?" Wow. So he's like, no, I have his City Stars board. And I'm like, "Dude, you're stoked." I was like, "That's so rad." I'm like, "How did you get it?" He goes, "Oh, I bought it off eBay from somebody."
Wow. Oh, shit.
And like, it was like, I didn't know who he bought it from. Yeah. And I was like, "Dude, that's so rad." Like, dude, sick, you know? Like, I was happy for him, you know? And he's like, "I want to give it to Paul."
No way.
That's I was really like, cool. "Really?" I was like, "Dude, we'll pay you for it. What do you want for it?" And he's like, No, I want to give it to him as a gift."
That's sick.
I was like, "Dude, you have no idea what this is going to mean to Paul because he's never had that board." That's his very first pro model. And it's a photo of his, man, I should have brought, like, dude, I'm so ill prepared for this.
Oh, you're good.
I should have brought that board. Yeah. But it was the drawing of the grill of his first car. Paul's first car was like a Mercedes C-Class.
Did the dude ship the board to him? Or
right. So I was like, "Dude, you tell me when you're ready to ship it. I'll pay for the shipping." Mm-hmm. I was like, "Spanish, send this guy whatever he wants." So we just sent him the biggest box because he wouldn't take money. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm not going to like take it for nothing, dude. Like this is one of the best gestures ever."
Right. Did Paul know know, or was it a surprise?
No, we surprised him.
Oh, did you?
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah, we
wow.
surprised
That's
him.
cool.
So he came to the office. I'm like, here, dude. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, you know.
Wow.
So, but that Paul got that first board.
Yeah.
You know, Mikey was going pro that same time.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting laid off just because they were like, all right, like, we've got to start trimming the fat. And marketing, if anybody's ever worked for any company that's done layoffs, marketing's the first thing to go.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because like with Primitive, I've always said my marketing team would be my last to go.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, if I can't market a product, I can't sell a product.
Yeah.
So like my creative team, that is my marketing team,
Yeah.
will be the last to go.
Okay.
Who's the first?
Spanish Mike.
I kind of knew that was coming, actually. I could have, yeah.
I'm joking.
No, so they laid you off, and what did you...
Fair enough. I got laid off.
What did you do, though? What did you...
I'm back to square one.
square one?
Because nobody's hiring.
It's a recession.
Recession.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing the same thing,
Right.
laying off, and it's like,
At this point, still one kid?
three by this
Three
point.
by this point.
Wow.
Oh.
So I'm like, all right, and I'm living in Huntington, and I'm like, dude, I just kind of like out of like a desperate move. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move you guys back to Texas.
Oh, okay.
It's cheaper there. There's family, whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then like move them back to Texas, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep. Paul will let me stay at his house. Paul's like, you can stay here as long as you want, you know. And I'm like, I'm still gonna try to figure this out, you know.
Right.
I was just like doing whatever work I could.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting a job delivering blueprints.
Just driving around, dropping shit off.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, and it was all like right in Irvine and everything. So like I would do that. But this is after like a year,
Oh.
year and a half of like still trying to figure it out.
Filming here and there.
Right.
Clips.
Still going out at night, like filming,
Oh,
like
shit.
still like when I didn't have the kids, I'd go film at night. Like I worked it out where I never had the kids on the weekend, like, and I would like go film on the weekends because that's when the most
But
opportune
still,
time.
even then,
Yeah.
like, what, you getting like $20 a clip? And
No,
you're
there
not
were
really...
right. So there were times like when like I had the kids,
Yeah.
like I didn't eat at night. My kids ate.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Right. So it's like,
Jeez.
and it was like, whatever. I didn't care. Like, it was like, when you're in that mode, you're just like, kids first, I'll figure me out later. Like, that's
Okay,
just what
yeah,
you did.
Of course.
So, like, Kane and Denman hit me up. They're like, hey, we're going to go to Reno to go film. Like, they were still, City Stars was still there.
They were so... Okay.
Right. And they're like, do you want to roll? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll ask off. And can we go just Friday through Sunday, come back Sunday night? And they were like, Kane was always down, dude. He was a champ. He would
Sick.
be like, yeah, dude, if we're done at like filming at 11, we'll just power back, 8-hour drive back. You know?
Shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
he didn't care. So like on the drive up, the DC video had just come out, and so we were like, oh gosh, did you see that? You know, and like we had been skating with Dyrdek a lot. I met Dyrdek through Kane because they did, you know, like we would go down and skate
They had that park, right?
the TF, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were driving up, and I remember just in my mind, like I was just, my mind's always working. It's always thinking. Like that's one. Sometimes I can't sleep just because it's overthinking.
Oh, wow.
But I remember just driving, and I remember thinking about the DC video. I'm like, Kane, like, do you know Greg Hunt? He's like, yeah, I know Greg. I'm like, do you think they need another filmer at DC? Because I just saw that video and like the production, and I was like, dude, they're really on it. Like,
Yeah.
you know. And at the time, when I think back and you think about who actually was helping him film that, like I'm like not on that caliber.
But at the same time, too, they just finished a video.
Yeah, I know.
So they would
Yeah.
probably not need a filmer. But
Right. But I was like, whatever, try, like,
Yeah.
is he looking for help?
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, I don't know, like, let me call Dyrdek. So he called Rob, and he put him on speakerphone, and he was just like, this is when you had, like, the Nextel phones, the flip, like, chirp them.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, like, he called him, put him on, he was like, hey, like, I got Heath, like, we're going up to Reno, like, he wants to know, like, does Greg need any help? And Robbie's like, fuck, like, why didn't I think about this before?
Oh.
And Kay's like what? He's like, dude, we've been looking for a team manager for 6 months,
Interesting.
and we can't find the right fit. He's like, I don't know why I haven't thought about Heath before. He'd be perfect. I've got the micro team managing like thing from Rob, because he goes, dude, he films, and as a filmer, he's already micro TMing.
Yeah.
Like, he's perfect for this job.
So you're sitting in the car like, yes.
in my mind, yeah,
like not trying.
dude, it's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden this like feeling of hope, because it's been such a grind, like
That
you
whole
know.
year of not doing
Yeah, it was about a year and a half
Okay.
of just like, I'm gonna ride this out. I'm going to figure this out. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. I'm
Yeah.
going to do this. So, he was like, "Hey, Heath, if I set up an interview, will you be there?" I'm like, "Wherever you tell me to go, what time, I will be there."
Right.
So he set up an interview, and I go down, and I don't know who's interviewing me, and it was Carl Heineman. If you don't know who Carl Heineman is, he was in the 8th Street.
Yep.
And I remember being like, holy shit, like, I'm being interviewed with Carl Heineman. Like, to me, it was a big deal because, like, the 8th Street videos were the shit. Like, Mike Trinaski is my, like, I look at Mike T as, like, he's the best at what he did.
Yeah.
Right.
In my opinion, And so I was just like, this is sick, So he does the general interview, and he's like, okay, cool. Like, I'll talk to all these dudes, and we'll call you back if, for a second interview if we're interested.
Okay.
So I think Rob kind of like was like, hey, you're going to call him back for a second interview. And my second interview was like in Ken Block's office, and it was Ken, it was Damon, Rob, Mike Blayback, Greg Hunt. It's got Sean Rogers that did a lot of stuff with Danny. There might have been another person there, but I remember
It's
like
a big meeting.
Yeah.
right. And the thing is, like, just being in like Ken's office was gnarly enough as it is, because like Ken is what he did with DC, his marketing genius that it is. I was like, for me, it was just humbling, because I'm like, dude, this dude's done. Like, I don't think people realize he started out on Danny Way's couch.
Right.
Yeah.
And they started a company called 8 Ball Clothing that turned into, Drawers Clothing that turned into DC Shoes.
Right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
that is gnarly, And I'm like, dude, this is sick. And of course, like, when I like got there, there's like 10 Mercedes in the truck. Like, this is when DC's just like
Balling.
Oh yeah. And I was like, not that they're not now, but like
That was like the height of that. Was
right.
Yeah. Shit was
So
popping.
they're just asking me questions, and like, I think Rob built me up more than he probably should have. But like, I was just kind of sitting there going like, all right, I don't know if that's true, but so the kicker was, he's like, this is the dude that found P-Rod and Mikey and like, all the next dudes. And like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I didn't find Paul. Like, I was just there for like some of that, like, if anybody deserves the credit, it's Nigel Alexander, because he like filmed him, that was his like filmer.
His buddy,
so right. Yeah. He's the one who brought him to light. I just went with it. And he was just like, he goes, like, Ken's just sitting there listening to Rob, because if you've never been around Dyrdek and hear him, like, he's very inspirational. He's very, like, he will make you a believer.
Yeah.
And so Ken's just taking it in, and he goes, okay, so who's the next kid?
Oh.
And I said, Devin Calloway. I didn't hesitate. I said, Devin Calloway. Now, keep in mind, Devin, all that these guys had seen of Devin and the world had seen of Devin at that point was street cinema.
Uh-huh.
And where you look like straight Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
Right. The hair. Right. Like, he was still figuring his style out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
But in that year and a half, me and Dev stuck together.
Okay.
Like, Dev cut the hair. He really started to mature into his skating, and I was documenting this. I saw it from like the jump.
Right.
And so when I was asked that question, there was no, I said, Devin Calloway. I said, and Dyrdek just got done doing all this praising. And he goes, wait a minute, what? The kid with the hair, like, City Star? I'm like, Rob, I know what you're thinking. I was like, but I promise you, that is the next kid. I said, I promise you.
Wow.
So anyway, I do the interview and come back. Like, they're like, Rob calls me. He's like, hey, you're hired. You got the job.
Sick.
That's
right.
rad.
Wow.
And keep in mind, I was living in Anaheim at the time. And I was like, that's where my kids go to school. So I'm not going to move to San Marcos, where the warehouse was. Yeah. So I was like, but I'll drive here every day.
Oh, okay.
It was 85 miles one way.
Good God.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was like, I have a job in skateboarding doing what I love.
What kind of car were you driving at the time?
At the time, I had a Periwinkle.
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 The fuck is that?
What is that?
I don't know. It's like a purple color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had a Periwinkle 4Runner
Oh.
that my son Jonas drives today still.
Wow.
Seriously?
100%. That thing
Jeez.
is a beast.
How many miles? Like a quarter of a million?
It's almost 300,000.
Damn. Wow.
Right.
Damn.
So I got that job. And of course, like going from City Stars where it wasn't the biggest budget, getting thrown into this, and I'll never forget when I got the job, Ken wanted to talk to me, and the last thing he said was, I want to treat these guys like rock stars.
Wow.
Ken cared about every one of those guys. Like,
Sick.
and he wanted them, and that's where I got my ethic of like, you treat these guys better than like you treat your own family,
Wow.
because they are the ones that matter.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
I love all my employees, but above and beyond everything, those guys that go out day in, day out, like breaking themselves, like that's to me is like, that's like what's like the most important.
It's amazing.
But I'm gonna restate this: every one of my employees are fucking rock stars.
Right.
Like I love them all. You know.
Did you bring Dev over to DC then?
So this is where I get to like the bigger budget.
Yeah.
Like I was really timid about like how much to spend, and they just gave me this credit card, this platinum Amex, and I'm like,
they didn't tell you like, hey, just don't go over blah blah. They just
nothing.
Really.
Nothing.
Sky's the limit.
Whoa.
Like 3 weeks after I got the job, we like they had planned this because they had done the super tour in Europe, and they were like, we're gonna do this tour in the States.
I was
So-
on that one with you.
Yes, you were. And it was a 7-week tour where we did 5 weeks, and then I think we were off a week or two, and then we did 2 more weeks.
Yep.
And what had happened is they hired Brent Cromuller to build the course. So we had 2 massive trucks following 2 RVs.
It was so nuts.
We did a whole loop around the country.
Crazy.
It was gnarly. So you had like the party bus, and then
Yeah.
you had the mellow bus, right? And then and then you had the ramp crew in 2 big trucks. Blayback was such a central point for all of that. Like
Okay.
I think that I learned a lot about being a TM from Mike.
Interesting.
Just how him and Greg worked together, and like they were really integral in like a lot of the planning and like all that stuff. So like he was like, I remember just being like, all right, we're gonna do this, and like the last TM had left a bunch of like just a stack of DVDs, you know, of like who potential or who was getting
Sponsor
flowed,
me vids or something.
and like I like went through them and
Saw Kelly Hart. You're like, nah.
no, like I'd already known Kelly.
Yeah, we were already friends.
Yeah. So like I remember like Mike going, so like what flow guys are you taking? And I was like, oh, we can take flow guys? And he's like, yeah, sure. You know, like not a big deal. Like I'm like, there's already
A lot of
like
people. Yeah.
dude, like the whole DC team and a ramp crew for 7 weeks.
Jesus.
Think about that. You
Stayed
know?
like at nice ass hotels. It
Yeah,
was
we didn't
so
stay
nice,
like there was
dude.
only like one little stint where we were kind of in the middle of nowhere where you couldn't stay at a Westin or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and there's your refrigerator.
No, that was my faucet.
This is
yeah.
fucking sink.
Yeah.
It's on.
I
But
could not live here. Heath. Just letting you know.
but I remember that was when like Dev was still getting actions.
Oh, okay.
And this was at the very tail end of like Mastermind and like kind of the demise of Action at the time and City Stars at the time. And so like I called Dev. I'm like, dude, I want to start giving you shoes. I want you to go on this tour. And he's like, all right, let me talk to Joey. Like I want to see like what he thinks, you know, because he was still super down. Like he's just super
Yeah.
loyal dude.
Yeah.
And so he called Joey up, and Joey's like, hey man, like that's a great opportunity. You should do it.
Oh,
You know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
for sure.
I basically put him on that trip with Kelly.
Uh-huh.
I think Jimmy Asselford was
Oh,
one
yeah,
of the
he
other
was-
flow dudes on it.
Yeah. Is it Aaron Johnson? Remember the dude who was on Pop War?
I can't remember, but I know who you're talking
Aaron
about.
Cairo?
That would have been awesome.
No,
No. Wasn't flowing him.
the pre-bro.
That was when Devin like really started to like really put in his work.
What was sick to see
Dude.
was what Devin did. Every demo, laying it down, and mind you, he's on like this tour with these gnarly ass dudes.
Oh, yeah.
All these dudes are so good at skateboarding, right? and Dev was just every demo.
Sick.
And I remember just sitting back watching him do his thing. And then it was like about 3 weeks in, like I think it was like Smith and Abe were just like, dude, this guy's on. Like, get him a contract.
Sick.
Like they were hyped on him. Like whole team was hyped on him. So that's how Devin ended up on
Rad.
DC.
And a big thing that happened was that I remember, and that's where I met Steezus over here or Dwayne, but Sean Malto. That was the first time I remember you were like, guys, there's this kid. He's super sick.
I saw in that stack of tape or DVDs that I saw, like that was left. Sean's was the only one, and it was probably about 35 DVDs. Sean's was the one that stood out to me.
Okay.
And he was brought to the attention of the last TM by this guy Jeff Maines, who was the I guess
He's
like,
a sales rep.
Yeah, he's from Oklahoma City.
Oh, okay.
Like he was a sales rep there, and like he hooked up Sean.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and he was hooking up Sean with like the helmet. You know.
Oh.
When Sean went through his helmet phase, you know that one.
Jeff Maines was a rep for audio.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. So, and I just kept my eye. I was like, hey, keep getting this guy to send us stuff, whatever. And then like, we saw him on that tour. Like we went through KC.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And I remember kind of just sitting back watching him. He still wasn't there yet.
No,
like
not even on Girl or being flown back.
No. Sam was giving him boards before.
Oh, Sam was okay.
Right. He was already talking to Sam, getting boards. I think
Gotcha.
directly. Where we like.
Wonder if you saw the same tape. Probably.
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember being like, all right, we'll watch this kid, and he grew and he developed.
Yeah.
So along my path, right, when I'm still at Logic, I out of nowhere I get a call from Rob Dyrdek, and I'm like, people that don't know anything about Rob other than MTV,
Yeah.
like that dude was so fucking good at skateboarding.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Hell
Like
yeah.
when you go back and you look at Memory Screen and you look at like, just dude, he was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And like, I remember just getting that call and I'm like, it didn't come up. I'm like, hello, and he was just like, hey Heath, this is this Heath Brinkley? And I was like, yeah. He's like, Rob Dyrdek. Because he goes, Joe Castrucci said you're the dude to film with in L.A.
Oh.
And I got to film a video part, photosynthesis.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So I'm like, he's like, can you meet up this weekend? And I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. And I was like, tell me when and where, and I'll be there. And probably Thomas guided it up to Hollywood, and and when I met up with him, he was with Steve Barra, and that was the first time I met Steve.
Oh,
so the very first thing I ever filmed of Rob was he does a line. I think it's his open line, back 180 nose, ground 180, and then lip slide down the handrail at Pierce College in the Valley.
Wow.
And then also filmed Barra half cab crook, 50-50. I think he did that for something for 411 maybe.
Huh.
But like that was my introduction to Dyrdek.
No way.
So thank you, Joe Castrucci and
Yeah.
Rob.
Did you film a lot of his part?
No, I was on the tail end of that.
So now, well, I mean, you are going back to the DC thing, and then from DC, you went over to Etnies, right?
For Etnies.
Yeah.
You know what? This guy beat me out on a job of audio.
Interesting.
So I was filming with Kenny a lot, but you were already in that mix.
Yeah.
And so like Kenny was trying to get me a job because they were going to do One Step Beyond.
Yeah.
And so like Jeff had I think a better you were better than me anyway. Like I was like Kenny and Felix like, hey dude, like it'd be rad if we like, I was filming with those dudes a lot. I think just through Logic. And then I just started hanging out with Kenny a lot more, filming. And so like I think what it came down to, it was either me or you. It was gonna get
Really?
hired.
I never knew that.
I think so, because I didn't get the job and you did. Yeah, so I got an edge job by Raj.
You're in a better place than I am now.
So what happened with the DC thing, and you go to Etnies? What was the deal there?
It was a time where like I was approached and I was offered a really good opportunity.
Oh wow.
To kind of help rebuild that program, and you know, and I just ultimately was like, okay.
Did you want the challenge, or because you're at DC where there's, treat them like rock stars, here's a credit card?
Yeah, but I was being offered a lot of freedom.
Okay.
Like basically there's no barriers in your way.
Just here, rebuild the team.
Do whatever you want.
So you brought in Mikey Taylor.
Yeah.
Malto.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did you bring?
Devin ended up coming.
Yeah.
Because like right around that time, Dev was going to, like, he was in between contracts.
Okay.
And I told him, I was like, dude, stay with DC. Like, they've done so much good for you. It's a good place for you, you know?
Okay.
So I actually, like, I thought for him it was, like, a better place.
Oh.
You know?
Who else was on?
So Tyler Bledsoe. Jose Rojo.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Leeper.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, it was tough because even before I got there, like, the team that was there, they were already starting to transition people out, you know? And it, like, again, like, in those circumstances, it's a bit unfortunate, you know? Like, they were like, for you to do this has to happen.
Right.
You know? And I'm like, all right, well, shit.
Oh, so you had to come in and do
well, I was
dirty
like,
work.
No, but I was like, look, guys, like, I'm not kicking off people.
Okay.
I was like, if that's a decision you guys want to make, I said, here's what I want. Here's who I want to bring to the table.
Right.
If we can have everybody, cool. But if you guys want to kick people off, that's something you're going to have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not coming in to do your dirty work.
Yeah.
I was like, you asked me what I think needs to happen. I don't necessarily think everyone has to go.
Yeah.
I was like, because, you know, there's a lot of rad people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I'm not going to be doing the dirty work.
Right.
Okay? Because that's a decision you guys need to make as a brand.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like a lot of brands do that too. They're like, we hired a new team manager. Now kick this guy off.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Right.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's gnarly.
Obviously, at that time, like, they had parted with Ronnie Krager, and I'm like, I'm not going to be the guy that kicks Ronnie Krager off.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like, I had this idea for this whole, like, table tour with Ronnie.
Oh, sick.
Right, because I was pricing out tables and, like, all that stuff, you know?
Wow, that would have been cool.
How long did the Etnies thing last?
I was there.
Because you guys were killing it.
Look, I
You
think
turned it around.
Yeah, you turned it around. It was doing
Look,
great.
Mikey and
I
Malto
did-
were on fire.
sure.
I do know that I would see the numbers, and I do know that they started selling, like, at least to shops, they were selling more product than they had in the previous, like,
Okay.
3 or 4 years. So I felt like what we were doing was good.
Yeah.
I think I was at DC for 3.5 years.
Okay.
And then I think it was mid 2000, because I got the job at DC at 2004. So mid 2007, I went to Soltech, and then I'm like, I'm at Tampa Am, I think, and this is like 2009,
Mm-hmm.
and this is when Tampa Am was in the, like, winter, like in November, December, I forget. It was one of those months. And I'm sitting there, and, like, I'm actually ready to go to bed. It's Sunday night, getting ready to go to bed. I got a flight at 4 a.m. the next morning. Or I got to be up at 4 to get to the airport on time to make my flight.
To go home.
Right. I got to leave the hotel at 4.
Okay.
So I'm going to bed at, like, 11:45, right? Because I went and hung out and then came back, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there, and I get a call, and it's Paul.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, why is this guy calling me right now? I pick it up. Hey, man, what's up? Everything good? He's like, yeah. Like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, trying to go to sleep. I'm like, dude, I'm in Tampa. Like, why are you in Tampa? I'm like, Tampa Am?
It's my job.
Bro, I'm like, do you know the He's like, I don't know.
He's like, I'm pro. I don't need to go
Yeah.
there.
Right. Like, he's so out of, like, the loop of, like, any Am thing. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm like going to bed. I got to be up at, like, 4. Like, I got to be at the airport. He's like, when you get home? I'm like, tomorrow? And he's like, all right, let me know what day you can meet. I'm like, dude, do you want to tell me why you're calling me? He's like, nope. He's like, I want to talk to you in person. I'm like, dude, you're calling me. It's at midnight right now.
Yeah.
I'm in Florida, and you won't. And I, like, he's like, no, dude, I want to talk to you in person. Needless to say, I didn't sleep because I'm just sitting there like, what does this dude want to talk about?
Yeah.
What is going on? So I get back, we meet up. I intentionally make it hard for him to meet up with me.
You do.
Because I want to see how much he, like, whatever he wants to tell me, how important it is to him.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
I'm in Rancho Santa Margarita,
Jesus.
down by Lake Forest,
Okay.
because of Soltech.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Right.
He's in the valley. At
It's a
this
long
point,
drive.
he's in Simi Valley.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, all right, I want you to meet me here at this restaurant at this time, which would put him in the heart of traffic.
Jeez, dude.
And at this
guy.
Why, dude?
I want to see how serious this dude is to meet up with me. And he made me stay up all night.
It's a good. It's a good.
I
it's a
guess.
good technique, though.
Right?
You know.
Yeah.
He's like, no problem, I'll be there.
Wow.
Right? Sure enough, he's there on time.
Oh shit.
He's like, dressed up as Paul would be at that time.
Chains and
Like, I guess he thought to me, like, damn, this dude's professional. Right. But I remember it so clearly. He sat down, he sits in a seat, and he's like, he's getting himself all adjusted. And he's like, all right. And he spills it out. He's like, I want you to come work for me. And I'm like, you want me to work for Plan B? He's like, no. I want you to come work for me. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I just know I need you to, I don't know. I just need you to come work for me. He goes, I had an epiphany. I don't know why I need you in my corner. I trust you more than anybody when it comes to skateboarding. I was like, well, I appreciate that. But like, I still don't know what you want me to do for you. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And he's like, I don't know either. And I was like, but I know it'll work out and it'll be good. I was like, I don't know, dude. I got to think about this. Like, I don't know what you're asking me to do. And so this time we're like, all right, let's meet up again. I met him halfway this time. And I was like, look, dude, like, I've been thinking about it. I'm really interested. Like, I still don't know what you want me to do. He still didn't know what he wanted me to do. He just wanted me in his corner, man.
Interesting.
Obviously, I'm very humbled by this. Me out of everybody, like, in skateboarding that he could have picked, and it's me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let me have a meeting with my boss at the time was Mike Regan.
Okay.
My boss at the time was Jeff Taylor.
Oh, at Soltec.
But the guy that was the brand manager overall of like Etnies was Mike Regan.
Okay.
And I had a great relationship with both of them. Mm-hmm. But like I went to Mike and I was like, hey man, I got a really easy question for you. Where do you see me in 5 years with Soltec?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, man, like I honestly, I don't have an answer for you. I can't tell you that.
Oh.
And I was like, everything's going good. Like, you see what we're doing here and what we're building and like, but you can't tell me where I'm at in 5 years. He's like, I'm not saying that because of you. He goes, I just don't know where I'm going to be at in 5 years. Yeah. And I was like, all right, man, you're making my decision really easy. And I told him, I was like, Paul offered me a job. I'm going to take it.
No way.
And he was like, hey man, like that's awesome. I think that's great. I think it's a great opportunity. Like, it's very progressive on Paul's part,
Right.
So so that was the easy part.
Yeah.
Hard part was calling Mikey and Sean.
I was gonna say.
Damn, yeah.
Because I had just gotten them to come over and everything.
Put the whole team together.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sean's was what I thought it would be. He's like, man, that's cool. Like, it sucks, but I get it. Like, you got to do it. And I'm sure.
And he had a shoe out at this point too.
Right.
Everything was going good. Yeah.
And so like, but it was one of those things where I'm like, it was Mikey that was like, what the fuck? Like, you did this hard sell on me to come over here.
Right.
But looking back, we had put so much focus on those dudes specifically. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we did a good job with everybody.
Yeah.
But those two dudes were like, we poised them as like the faces of like the skate side of things, right? And so like we'd like, and like, dude, it was like Oliver Barton and like, it was a lot of people.
You'd put them in a great place.
A lot of people behind the scenes that like really helped elevate them. Mm-hmm. And so like that stint at Soltec helped them get the best contracts of their life.
There you go. Yeah.
Like Sean's at Nike, Mike's, because like Jeff went over to DC and he loved working with Mikey. Got him the best got them the best contracts of their life.
There you go.
So I'm like, guys, like it was in hindsight, I was like, it worked out.
It worked out,
yeah,
right?
Right.
Worked out for everybody.
Yeah, it ended up working out for everybody.
You still don't know what Paul wants.
He still doesn't know what he does for him.
So I started in February 2010.
Yeah.
And like I remember, like, all right, I'm gonna film him.
That's a no-brainer, right?
And I wasn't used to what Paul did. Paul is a very regimented guy. Okay. He loves skateboarding. He has fun riding a skateboard, but he has fun doing it the way he wants to do it.
Right.
Which in skateboarding, that's how it should be.
There you go.
should do what you want when you
should
want, how you
board
want.
every night.
Yeah.
Right.
If you want to.
He put it he left it in the garage.
By this point,
He's a grown man.
Yeah.
But he, I remember like going to the park, and this was before we did the whole rebuild on the park and everything. And I remember just sitting there like one day in the park, and I was like, what am I really doing here?
Yeah.
Right?
I think we were all questioning that too. Like we heard you had worked for Paul, but we didn't know what. Like
Yeah, but at the time, like
personal trainer, or personal filmer,
right?
Like this weird.
And I want to clarify,
right?
I was never a skate coach.
No.
There's not one thing I'm coaching Paul Rodriguez
Could you imagine?
or any other skateboarder.
Well, I bet
at
you were
that
helping
level.
him put together, like when you were filming stuff, you're like, oh, this would look good with that trick over here or something like
You know,
that.
sometimes it might be like, sometimes it might have been a flow issue,
Yeah.
but for the most part, like, what am I going to tell him to do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He knew, like, Paul's a very, like, he's well thought out. He knows what he wants to do. And at that time, he would have a list of stuff he would want to go film, and he wouldn't stop until he wouldn't move on to the next thing until he got that trick.
Check them off the list.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember being like, what am I doing, man? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it. And then I kind of, like, thought back. So I got introduced to, like, the power of what social media could be
Okay.
by Rob Brink.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And Rob was well ahead of his time in the understanding of the power of social media and how that can, like, from either a brand or personal brand and what that meant.
Uh-huh.
And that was in like 2008. So Rob's been really progressive with it for a long time.
2008. What was going on in 2008?
Soul Tape. He was at Soul Tape.
No. I'm saying in social media. Like, was it
Oh, it was like,
MySpace or
yeah, it was Facebook at that time.
Facebook,
Right,
Twitter
right.
maybe.
Right,
or
but he just
something?
understood, like, the power of reach
Yeah.
and, like, the power of, like, wow, you can build, like, an audience and you can reach that audience and talk to them and
Whenever
by
you want.
yourself. Yeah.
right, like, you don't need someone else telling the story for you. You
There you go.
you write your own story.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, like, it dawned on me. I'm like, because when I signed with Paul, I signed over all the rights to my footage to him. If
Yeah.
I filmed you, you own it. Technically, I could own this, but I'm going to give it to you
Right.
because I believe in skaters owning their own destiny. They're controlling what they do.
Right.
Yeah, what's there.
Right. I believed in the idea of personal brand
Mm-hmm.
and what that meant.
Okay.
So I remember, like, 6 months in, I then, like, was asking myself this, and I started looking at all his platforms. And I was like, Paul, we're going to do a deep dive into all this. Like, we're going to start posting clips. Like, we're going to do, like, we're going to build your YouTube. We're going to build
Yeah.
your, like, Instagram came along. Like, I watched it for a little bit. Then, like, all right, we're going to do this. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, that's when it's just, like, we just started. And it was really taboo to, like,
Promote yourself.
promote yourself.
And you were watermarking stuff too, right?
Watermark,
You were
yeah,
like-
because I was like, well, dude, if someone takes this, like,
Repost it,
like
they're gonna
this,
know, yeah.
I like you own this,
yeah.
like, because it's so easy just to rip and do and
For
run
sure,
it somewhere else. Where I'm like, now we've moved away from that
Yeah.
sense, you know,
Right.
But it's just one of those things where it's like at the time, I was like, it's important that you own this,
Yeah.
but we just started developing, and
Yeah.
I remember Mikey like calling me like early on, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, it's not a good look.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, and I asked Paul, I'm like, do you care? He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like, let's do it.
okay.
He goes, like, no one's going to tell me what I should or shouldn't do.
It's Paul Rodriguez.
Yeah,
dude.
no, but it's not even that.
P-Rock.
Yeah.
It's just his mentality. Paul really shaped a new mentality for me where it was like, dude, if I'm okay with it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what someone else thinks about who I ride for or what I do. Do you like what I'm doing on a skateboard?
Right.
That should be the only thing you care about.
True.
And Paul was like, no matter what I do, I'm always going to put it down on my skateboard.
Yeah.
And judge me on that. Don't judge me on anything else.
Right.
And if you know Paul, like, he's the best dude.
For sure.
Like, I'm not saying that because he's like my friend and
Yeah.
business partner and like all that. I'm saying he is one of the best humans on the planet.
He's amazing.
Right?
Yeah. He's a great
So like
guy.
anybody that's ever had a bad thing to say about Paul has never met Paul.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
I just was like, dude, let's go in. Let's do this.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
I guess the next leap is like
Well, the gold boards.
the gold boards.
Yeah. He quits Plan B.
So I'd been filming, and Paul, like, this was one of the benefits. Paul had all his footage, and it was with me.
Okay.
So, like, it wasn't in the control of anybody else. And it wasn't that, like, anybody at Plan B was going to do anything malicious with it.
Right.
He was just like, it's mine. I'll do what I want when I want with it.
Yeah.
You know? Do I want to be a part of that project, or do I, you know,
Yeah.
yes or no, that type of thing. So, 2013, Street League Munich. We're there. He shows up, and he's got 3 boards painted.
Hmm.
I'm like, what's up, dude?
He didn't even tell you.
I don't think so. I think I found out when we got there. I mean, we
Interesting.
flew together,
Yeah.
but I don't think I saw his boards or something.
Yeah.
I just remember being like, I knew he was kind of questioning, like, what he wanted to do, and like, He was really like, and this might have been just due to the like what I was like hammering away at, like personal brand, where he's like, Paul really wanted to control his own destiny.
Okay.
He's like, I don't want other people deciding for me. I want to control my destiny. I want to take the path I want to take.
Yeah.
I don't want to do something that someone else thinks I should do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do what I know is right for me. And so he had one painted white, one painted black, and one painted gold.
Yeah.
And as soon as he stepped out on the course with, I think it was, I forget, it was either the white or the black one. I remember in the room, he set it up, right?
Yeah.
He set the board up. Because Paul was paying for me to travel with him everywhere.
Okay.
So I just like couched it. Like, we got a double. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember like him walking out on the course and instantly I'm sitting there with Atlas and Rob. They're like, what's Paul doing? I filmed a bunch of stuff that day. Like what I would do with Paul, and I actually did it, like I for a small period of time, me and Rob Brink and this guy John Hyland, we did a little thing called social ops where we were actually like, hey, let's do things like what Fred's doing right now to help people with social media. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, I was like filming like 5 or 6 dudes. I'd go back instantly to the hotel. I would do all these little edits for Instagram so they could each post. Yeah. And like,
Wow.
So like when Paul's went up, he got a call. We were downstairs and it's like calling, hey, Paul, what's up? Oh. Paul disappears for like 3 hours, right? Shit. He comes back and he's like, dude, I just quit Plan B.
No way.
Yeah. And like, he's like, dude, it sucked, because he loved all those, like, he still like has a lot of love for all those dudes. Mm-hmm. Paul, he's told the story before. He painted the boards gold because that's the only paint that didn't drip, that didn't run.
Yeah, okay.
It went on flat and it dried quicker and all that stuff. So he just started skating these gold boards.
Yeah.
So when he quit, I was like, all right, let me reach out to Bareback and like, let's see if I can get you boards. And, got in touch with Adam over there and he was like, yeah, no problem. Like, you just like, what do you need? We'll work it out. Like, so whatever. Mm-hmm. They saw that Paul was painting his boards gold. So we ordered 10 boards. This is like probably like 2 or 3 months into it. Uh-huh. No, this wasn't like, this is probably like a couple months into it.
Okay.
They sent a box of 10 and it was the first 10 foil boards. Oh. Adam was like, we got it. And we're like, holy shit, this looks sick.
Right.
Because they've never seen anything like that before. Mm-hmm. Maybe someone's done it in the past, but I don't remember it. Like Seek, but all foil?
I think they had a little bit of foil into
okay,
it.
So it was silver though too. Yeah, right? Silver little.
It was just crazy to see just nothing but gold foil.
Right, and they took it upon themselves to do that.
They did that, and they were like, "Hey, what do you guys think?" And we were like, Paul being Paul, like loves flashy. Yeah. He was like, "Dude, I'm about it.
Right.
Like, I love this." And he was like, fanned them out, took a photo, and the response just went through the roof.
I bet.
Now again, it was like, it wasn't everybody's like favorite. There was people like, dude, that's gross.
Sure.
But there was a majority of people were like, dude, that is sick.
Mm-hmm.
When are they available?
Oh.
Paul just kept skating them. And then like, Paul's like, we kind of together were like, what if we did this? Like, what if we made like, I was like, maybe we make 500. Paul's like, let's make 1,000. I'm like, whoa, dude. Let's do 500. Like, we don't even like, dude, we don't know what's going to happen with this, right? Yeah. Like, who knows? Like, people can say all day long they love it and they'll buy it, but until they actually execute on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's do 500.
Mm-hmm.
I'll set it up. You're going to go down. We're going to go down to Bareback. You're going to personally hand number and sign every one of them. Mm-hmm. We're going to document it. We're going to make an edit.
Right.
And then, John Hyland was already working with me and he already understood the back end. So John helped build out the whole back end of the website.
Okay.
I was like, all right, we'll do this on Black Friday.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I hope we sell out by Christmas.
Yeah.
I hope we do. Because in my mind, I'm like, dude, this is a heavy investment.
500 boards.
It's a lot of
right.
boards, yeah.
For just an individual. And granted, Paul has money, but it's his own money.
It's an investment, right?
Right. And I remember Paul, like, I'm not, like, he's like, did we save a couple of these? I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to order them.
Yeah.
So when it goes live, we're just like everyone else. Because I don't feel right taking 2 boards away from 2 potential people that
there
really,
you go.
that,
right.
like, I really want this as a history thing, mm-hmm. but like, I don't want to just be like, oh, well, we get like, and I didn't want to make a couple extra because then it wouldn't have been like truly 500.
There you go. Right.
Right. like it was gonna really be this limited 500 board run.
Yeah.
Sure.
11:59, like, you know, me and my like wife Amy, like she's like, we're just sitting there and we're like, oh my gosh, here we go. right.
Can you see all the analytics of the website in front of you, or do you have?
No, John was like looking at all that. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna buy one.
You're gonna
no
buy,
problem.
you're gonna buy one.
Right, I'm gonna buy two,
Okay.
one for me and one for Paul.
There you go.
Like I'm gonna buy two. Like, right. 12 o'clock hits, like, and I'm just refreshing. Right, as soon as 12 o'clock hits, nothing. I can't get onto the site.
Oh, it's flooded.
And I'm like, dude, what's going on? And like, I'm like, okay, that's a good sign, but like, I want to get my board.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
I call Paul and I'm like, dude, this is crazy. The website is not responding.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
right.
And people in the comments are like, what's happening? I can't get the board and, and all this stuff. It took like 3 or 4 days for the dust to settle. The website glitched, sold 60 more than it should have. So we sold 560 boards in 2.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Shit. How does the fucking thing glitch and add more product?
I had to call
Site?
Bareback and say, hey, you got to make 60 more.
Did you get your 2 boards?
No.
No.
What?
We didn't even get boards.
No. Why didn't you just take 2 off the pile and
I
just
didn't-
and put money in the pot or something?
I didn't want to do that.
Why?
Because I wanted to be fair. I
But
wanted to.
you're paying for the boards though, Heath.
But I gave us the same chance everyone else
Okay,
had.
okay, I
That might
respect
sound
that.
stupid to
No,
people.
I get it.
But for me, it's like
Right.
it's like this ethics thing with me. Like
I
I
would have
just
taken them off the pile.
Of course, because you have no ethics.
So did you like? You never. So you don't have one at all.
I don't have one.
That's insane.
Would you buy it if you saw if it was available?
Does Paul have one?
No.
These weren't even named Primitive, right?
Nothing.
They were just blank
Blank
gold
gold
boards.
boards signed and numbered by Paul.
There was no even on the.
Nothing. There was no name. It was
No
it
graphic
was
board. Gold boards.
P-Rod's gold board. That's
Right.
it. Like I don't know what we can't even remember what we called it. It's been so long. And so like I went as far as some phone calls, but I was like, Paul, I really believe we should do this through Primitive. You already have it set up.
Yeah.
It was a shop in the valley. They were already starting. They were starting to move a lot of T-shirts. You know, I was just like, hey, dude, you already have this going on with these dudes, and it's already building momentum. Invest in your own distribution. Like, don't go to another distributor and like make them money, and then you're just kind of this is your redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, you
right.
go 10% or whatever.
You know, I'm like, yeah, like that's just not the move. So like, you know, we launched and like again, like there's a lot of shops that were really reluctant to carry us at the very beginning.
Really?
We had a lot of shops that just were like, you're a Zoomies brand.
Oh.
And I'm like, what does that even, like, really?
And you guys were already in Zoomies
Yeah,
with the
they-
shirts.
They were, that was already there. So it was already an account.
Right.
And like, I was just like, and Paul's just like, dude, if it's like, if they want to buy the boards, like, let's sell them the boards.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was like, when I would hear that, I'm like, when's the last time someone went to a Zoomies and looked at what they carry? But he always came back to like, well, you guys started in Zoomies. I was like, oh, that's not entirely true either.
Right.
But they got ushered in.
He started a skate shop in the valley.
Right.
Yeah.
That was 100% funded by Paul Rodriguez.
Right.
Right? Today, Primitive is 100% funded by Paul Rodriguez.
Wow.
It's crazy.
He has put his money where his mouth is.
Right.
I'm just saying. We've been called out like, you know, it's like, you know, not skater owned or whatever. I'm like,
Who's saying that?
dude, it's like I've heard it. I've read the comments, and it's like, have you heard of Paul Rodriguez? Yeah. Like, he's a skater, and
One of the best.
I'd say he's a skater. Yeah.
he funds this, you know. So we kind of went through this whole like
crazy.
thing where it's like even today there's still a handful of accounts that will never carry you.
Really?
Yeah. Again, we've been called out for the subscription. You know,
yeah,
we do a
that's- yeah,
subscription. But it's like, as well as it does for us, it's still such a small percentage of our business that it doesn't affect shops in the least.
Right.
Like, I look at the numbers, and if, in fact, at the end of the year, I sit down with the CFO, and he's like, all right, here, like, this is like everything you need to know.
Categories of the.
And as I started going through the list of skate shops, like skate shops, like real deal core shops, like, I looked at year over year. And like, this is after we had launched, like, it wasn't a full year of like subscription, but we got some flack for it.
Get an idea or two.
but there was so many shops that actually had an uptick with us.
Oh.
Where I was like, this isn't affecting them. This is actually like,
Helping
they're
them.
still doing well. And in fact, we did too, like, we've had, like, it's pretty cool to do this, like, where, and it's a testament to, like, Paul and the team.
Yeah.
Like, we did a demo for Elias at No Comply.
Okay.
And then we did a 15-year anniversary in Nashville for 6th Ave. That's my, like,
Oh, sick.
being my hometown, like, we did it for them.
Dope.
But that day was, like, has been their best sales to date.
Really?
It beat Black Friday. It beat any holiday sale for
Wow.
them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Black Friday. Beat Black Friday.
Right.
That's gnarly.
And I was like, to me, like, that's rad.
Yeah.
You know, like, to be able to have that kind of profound effect on a shop
Right.
where they're like, dude, we just beat our sales record.
Crazy.
That's sick.
And it's like, you know, and we're doing, like, I'm building out too, like, where shops obviously matter to me. Like, I've worked and ran like 5 shops back home, and I understand the importance of them and the culture, and
Yeah.
you know, so I'm by no means in the business of putting someone out of business.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do, you know. But I also can't control the way people want to shop.
Right.
There's some people that just shop online now,
Absolutely.
Totally.
and like, if I don't have that avenue,
Option, yeah.
right, you know.
Right.
But what we are trying to do, we do, like, when we work with shops, like, we're doing our shop board collabs are 100% unique to that shop.
Oh, you
right.
give them their own graphic.
I don't do logo board your name
No.
here. I'm where I finally got it in Nashville, where we actually work with a local artist who I used to
yeah?
actually give shoes to from Etnies.
Oh, there you go.
Right. So him, and then I let him kind of curate the art.
Okay.
I wanted to, because like
Makes it special.
my goal
Yeah.
is to fit I want to start using local artists to build those collab boards with the shop,
Right.
because then you tell this full complete story, and it's a true collaboration with that scene
There
there.
you
Yeah.
go. Right.
And every shop that we've done a board with, like, that's specialized for them,
Uh-huh.
it sells out.
I bet.
Like,
Yeah.
Great.
almost
Yeah.
almost in the first day.
Oh, shit.
Right. And it's like, and
Guys are good at
they'll
that first
order
day.
like 775 to like 120.
And that's a lot for a shop.
Right. But that makes it really special.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
and I think as a
totally.
brand, I think we're traveling a lot more than a lot of hard good brands are right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys are on fire,
Yeah,
man.
didn't you guys just go to China? Someone went to China, right?
They left to
Couple
China.
guys?
They left to China today. They just got back from Greece.
Yeah.
Greece.
Jeez.
Right.
Going
so
everywhere.
like Wade got on, and that was like, all right, you're going to Greece.
Yeah.
But again, I'm building out. Like I said, I just hired my 3rd filmer.
It's insane.
You
It's
know,
great.
because I
Right.
believe in like documenting, like
You
the
have to.
video platform right now is the single-handedly the most important platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like my goal is to do 3 to 4 really good projects a year,
Okay.
and then all the in between.
I keep harping on Paul for the full length.
It's not happening.
What do you mean? Why? What do you mean?
Immediate response.
Come on.
Do I want the guys to go out for 2 years and kind of go dark,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And really hammer down on a full length? Or do I showcase them multiple times throughout the year?
Right.
You guys got a lot of people on the team now.
Yeah, we
I know,
do.
I was
A lot of
gonna
pros.
say, like,
We do.
Who's next?
What about
Oh,
Trey
yeah.
Williams?
Yeah, Trey's like, he's grinding right now.
Yeah.
I like Trey.
Yeah,
The whole
good
team
kid.
is backing Trey, so he's grinding. Like we're putting him to work. We'll see.
Sick.
I have faith in him.
What about you
I think
guys?
he's
Just
sick.
you guys just came out with the Dragon Ball Z too.
Well, that's
That's a-
coming. Yeah,
Oh, it's coming
that's
soon.
gonna.
Pre-order.
Yeah,
Oh, pre-order.
yeah. We did a little pre-order, and
Oh,
like
how'd that do?
it
Good?
did pretty good.
Yeah. what are the numbers on that? Huh?
I don't know
What are
if
the
I should
numbers?
say.
What do you
It was-
mean?
Tell Chris how much money you guys made.
How much does Primitive make a month?
That's a great question.
Look, we do modest. We're good.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Like I believe in my team.
Yeah.
Not my
Well,
my
that's how
skate
you-
team. Like I've built
Your whole
like if I go through the list of people like at work that just crush it on the daily, like I will put them against anybody else, you know?
yeah.
The only person that I won't put them against is Jim Theobald.
Oh shit.
No one's better than Jim.
I know, he's a good. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the best.
Well, I'm glad Primitive is doing well, and you guys have the subscription things doing well, and
I just think in general, overall business, like it's just, like I said, subscription is such a small percentage of our
right.
Like last time we checked, we had like 2 kids in Arizona, of all of Arizona, that subscribed.
See,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not affecting any shop's business in Arizona.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
But
like,
then you go and do rad stuff for the shops too, with the artwork and
Right.
for the boards and
Right.
stuff like that.
What we've
just throw a
noticed-
logo on it. And,
what we've noticed is the largest, like we see a lot of subscribers from places where it's hard for them to get the boards.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like I can almost like we do like with analytics, we zone in and like, oh look, like either the local shops don't carry it or they're just so far from a skate shop.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and
right.
like so they're utilizing it. But again, overall, just as a business and what we're doing, I can proudly say retail is the bulk of our business.
Okay.
With the
You know.
subscription stuff, it's stuff you can only get from that.
Right. So like the boards, we always do a board that only goes to like you only can get it in the subscription.
Okay. Right.
You know,
So
and then like
kind of exclusive stuff.
yeah, it's like
yeah.
there's exclusive stuff that
Okay.
that ends up in there. You know what I'm
Sick.
saying? And like, so we try to curate the box to be like really unique and like
Nice.
something that's at least when you like people that want it, like you know, and we do have diehards that
Yeah.
like you know that are
Right.
really into it. But like again, the bulk of our business is still like a healthy retail business, and we've actually seen a lot of corridors grow and
Sick.
like do well,
Dope.
you know, with our product, you know. So, you know, we're just trying to like I think for us to do like multi-layered types of like retail,
Yeah.
and like whether it's like through actual brick and mortar or direct to consumer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think we have a really good balance right now.
Sick.
You know,
I like it. Yeah. Definitely.
so and like by no means am I undercutting shops.
right.
Yeah.
You know, like our prices online are the same price as everything else. You know, and
Yeah.
even still, there might be somebody say, "Oh, well, your subscription is $75 for
Mhm.
all that stuff." It's like, well, you're still paying like full price for the board. It's the
Right.
other stuff that you get.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Huh.
like you can't. There's no wiggle room with boards.
Right.
What people don't realize is like boards are so expensive because there's never been a price increase on boards in shops.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. Like it's never inflation's existed everywhere else on the planet except in skate shops.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I said earlier my first board cost me $65.
Yeah.
You go into a shop and now it's like $50 to $55.
Right.
I think that if shops are worried about their margins and
Mhm.
like how to keep doors open and all that, and like that's truly a thing,
Mhm.
you know, like just as a brand, I'm not getting rich off of skateboards. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can break down to the penny where all like any money I make on that board,
Mm-hmm.
like from like the overall cost of the board, the royalty that I pay the guy to
Paying the artist.
paying the artist, paying
yeah.
my product developer, paying my production team, paying my
Having it
warehouse,
shipped to you.
everything.
Yeah.
Like every ounce of money is eaten up
Mm-hmm.
in that board.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's not to say that we don't do well.
Yeah.
we
yeah.
do,
Right.
but skateboards aren't making us rich.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. You know,
What is coffee mugs?
100%. But
No.
you know, I think that I don't know. Like, I think I think people don't like talking about like raising prices.
Yeah.
And again, I don't want to gouge any customers,
Right.
but the problem is like you're getting to a point where the manufacturer. I had three price increases last year
Oh wow.
from a manufacturer. Not because they're gouging us. They're like, dude, like we have to do this.
Yeah.
I didn't raise the price on my boards,
So that margin's
So,
going down.
yeah.
Yeah.
but what am I gonna do? Like and that's not just me. I'm not the only one.
But why was their price going up?
Cost of labor, cost of goods.
Yeah.
And that was probably with every brand. It's probably
It's called
yeah.
it's called
Yeah.
inflation
Yeah.
year over. I'm predicting I'm gonna have at least a couple more this year.
Right. They
So-
raised your rent here, you know. And
Yeah.
Year over
house,
year, inflation goes up. And it's like, and I get it. Like, here's the thing. My theory is that had shops raised their prices slowly year over year, you wouldn't think twice right now to spend $80 on a skateboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And I say that because if you think about it, in Europe, for an American brand,
$100.
yeah, they're easily,
expensive.
there's kids paying for that.
Yeah.
But it's not about gouging the customer. It's not, at the end of the day, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Because any brand, if they really wanted to, could be like, well, you know what I sell you wholesale boards for? I'm going to put that online
Yeah.
at that cost. Like, if you really, like, any brand could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, Revive does that $38 boards all day long.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I don't agree with that. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to undercut these, like, partnerships I have with these shops.
Yeah.
But there will become a time when it's like, dude, I'm like, every brand's going to have, like, a come to Jesus moment with this problem.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
because it's already, every manufacturer's starting to do the squeeze.
Yeah.
And, like, I know we haven't raised our prices since that's happened. I'm very familiar with people at other companies, and we talk.
Yeah.
They're kind of in the same boat.
Right.
I'm not going to say no names.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, at some point, something's going to have to happen, because otherwise, like, it's not the shops that are going to shut down. It's going to be the brands.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
like, I can't afford this anymore.
It's crazy.
Like, I can't afford to pay you to ride for me anymore because I don't make any money on a skate. Brands that don't have the apparel play,
Yeah.
like, are going to have a really tough time,
Yeah.
you know? And I don't want to see that happen,
No.
you know? Like, I like seeing, like, everyone, like, that's, like, can kill it.
There you go. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
The ones that are smart are FA.
Oh yeah.
Their boards are $55,
Oh.
but they introduced it at 55.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are like, hey, this is what it costs
Right.
if you want to be on board. And that's great. Like, it's great because it's like, it's smart, you know, like, because boards should be more than $55.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for the sake, and the shops would make more money.
Mm.
It would help them pay their rent.
Right.
It helps brands pay their rent. It helps manufacturers pay their rent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
for
it's like,
sure.
honestly, like, a $75, $80 board is still cheaper than putting your kid in Little League hockey,
Yeah.
There you go.
Little League
Right.
football. It's so expensive to do that. Like, if you have a kid that's really good at soccer and they're on a travel team,
Yeah.
you're spending like a couple of grand a month,
Jeez.
like, easy.
Yeah. Get him a skateboard.
Yeah.
No, my wife was on a travel team.
Oh, yeah?
Like, she's really good at soccer, and she
Oh.
was on a travel team throughout her, like, you know, whole, like, teenage years.
Wow.
And it was like, she's like, I don't know how my parents did it.
Crazy.
And yeah, your little $80 skateboard,
Yeah.
like, that's cheap, mom and dad.
Yeah.
Like, do that for your kid because they're doing something, like, they're doing something good for
There
themselves.
you go.
You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. Like, I just wonder why no one talks about that.
Yeah, definitely. What
But
do you think
again,
is gonna
it
happen?
might be a reason why, like, because if everyone hates what I'm saying, I'm sorry. Like, but there's this whole back end of like, what's happening,
Yeah.
like, or what's going to come to brands,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But I'll say this, like, the idea that China wood is bad is that's false.
Yeah. The wood's pretty good.
There's people over there that give a shit, and they're really trying to make a really good product.
Right,
You
right.
know?
When do you think when one person does it, is like all the other brands gonna start raising their prices? The boards, you think?
I don't know what's going to happen. I just, like, I'm trying to hold steady so I don't have to do that to
Right.
our accounts,
Yeah.
you know? But, like, you're only going to be able to take so many price increases
Right. Right.
before I'm like, all right, well, we have to pay.
Are we just giving these boards away now?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because like I said, the cost of goods is
Mhm.
high. The royalty rate is, we pay a really good royalty rate to
Mhm.
our guys. We're fair. Then paying all the employees
Oh, yeah.
in between.
Keeping the lights on, everything.
Right. Like, and I've had a couple of, like, conversations with people where they didn't understand that. And then as soon as I literally broke it down to almost a penny.
Wow.
And they were like, we had no idea.
I don't think a lot of people know.
And so, like, where, like, when you look at what Jeremy Klein's doing
Mhm.
with hookups, and you look at, like, even Mike V with Street Plant,
Mhm.
like, those dudes are on a grind.
They're doing it all themselves.
They're doing it all themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that is no easy feat. like what those dudes are doing. Like even like Jeremy's doing all the graphics and like he's doing all that stuff. I don't know Jeremy, but like that dude's hustling.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and like, and it's enough. What's rad about that situation is he's doing enough for what he needs, and he's happy.
Yeah.
And he's like, he goes to bed at night knowing like, hey, cool, man, this is cool. You know, again, I don't know him personally, but just outside looking in, like I'm obviously like a fan, like like Rubbish Heap. If you haven't never seen that part, go on YouTube, look up Rubbish Heap, look at Jeremy Klein's part. It's awesome.
Yeah,
for sure.
Right.
Dude.
You do that, right? And you have no employees and it's your life and that's all you do, which is awesome because it takes so much dedication. Or if it grows to something bigger, you know, like you even look at like brands like Quasi, Polar, FA, look at what Josh is doing with Theories and like all that stuff. Like they have warehouses.
Yeah.
Not only that, he has a warehouse somewhere over in like New Jersey or New York where it's expensive.
Brooklyn, I think.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like this shit doesn't just like come out of nowhere. Like, dude, it takes a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Like even at like from like and at like you look at the Deluxe is a monster. And I like, you know, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it, Jim. Like that's gnarly. Because it's just, if you've ever been to Deluxe, it's just a massive operation, you know? And I think it's just a testament to Jim and his team and how, like, well they do everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? But I don't know, man. Like, it's going to be interesting over the next, I think, couple years, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see anybody go out of business. I don't want to see any shops go out of business. I don't want to gouge customers either.
Right.
You know? But something will have to give in the near future
For everybody.
for every not because
Right.
it's going to be that one brand that you just fuck it, we're just going to go straight to consumer and like our boards are $35.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of you just messed up the whole like system.
Yeah. It's like
You
a
know what I'm
food
saying?
chain, you know? It's like
Right.
Yeah.
It's like different. Like I said, Revive. I think they're I don't know. They're $38. But again, it's much different if a brand like Deluxe all of a sudden turns on a $38 board.
No, for sure.
Because they are so big and so many shops, and shops do so well with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a way different ball game when they do it.
Well, we'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'll
It's a real challenge. It's a
Yeah.
real challenge. And like, I'm constantly working with like our sales team to like, hey, what's the balance here? Like, how do we do this? And how do we make it work? And like I even get to where it's like, all right, like I have, like I said, like my team is really good. And like even getting them to hammer down on color counts and how to do halftones to replace, like to bring that color count down and get the cost of the board down. So we're doing a lot of things on that side of thing just so we don't have to raise prices.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But again, at some point, like there's
Something's
only
gotta give.
like when the manufacturer starts raising prices to a certain point, something gives.
You might want to own the wood shop.
Yeah, maybe I want to put it in my garage. My garage isn't that big.
Also, I want to. We got to wrap this up soon here, but I want to touch on real quick was XL.
Yes.
You and Ryan Clemens do the XL, which is a management company. Am I correct? For,
Yes. Yeah.
Skateboarders and
We started, and I mean Ryan was on the show, and he
Yes.
really went into what it is. I don't
Yeah.
have to like deep dive into that,
Right.
but you know, it was 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I was out there for an Etnies event, and Ryan and I had known each other through the years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we had the discussion about just skaters living like 2, 3, 4 years of making a lot of money, never saving it, and then like it just all going away because they didn't pay taxes, they never kept track of it, whatever.
They bought cars,
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and like we were like, all right, like, you know, it'd be cool if somebody actually did something to help manage people's like finances and show them a better way. And we kind of like looked at it like, well, why don't we do something?
Yeah.
So that was like a conversation for about a year.
Okay.
And then finally we pulled the trigger in like 2000, maybe it was like 2008. And then 2009, right before I started working for Paul, like we did that. And then over time, like it just grew organically and like all that stuff. So Paul was like our first client.
Okay.
Like, Ryan's a great businessman. He's really smart. Like he understands, like he's like really good with money.
Yeah.
So he has a great understanding. And we have also a great team there. And we also have like a lot of resources that we utilize, like, you know, accountants and like lawyers, like, and all that. Like, you know, we're not like, we know what we are good at and we know what we're not good at.
Okay.
I think that's the most important thing is just know what you're not good at and hammer down on what you're good at.
There you go.
So like, it's grown organically.
Yeah.
And it grew into like a full blown agency at this point where it just slowly but surely people would be like, hey, can you look at this contract?
Right.
You know, and like Ryan's done contracts for so long over the years.
Yeah, he knows what to
He knows what to look for, and if it's something that's out of his league, we have a lawyer. Hey, what do you read this and tell me if like I'm reading this right?
No,
you know?
it's great. I mean, there's you know, skateboarders should focus on skateboarding, you know, and it's just hard sometimes for like you said, contracts and stuff. You know, we all know skaters that just sign on the dotted line without even reading the thing, you know.
Right.
And it's just like, man.
Like, wait, I'm locked into this?
It could come back and bite them, you know.
In general, it's just with Excel, like we're just trying to like help like skaters succeed.
No, it's great.
You know.
Yeah.
Like that's really what we want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so like it's been a cool ride, man. Like
Yeah.
I like Ryan is the day-to-day. He is the face of it.
Right.
I'm like a lot of people have no clue that I'm even involved.
I had no clue until recently.
Yeah, you know, so I've told everybody that we sign, like when you sign with us at Primitive, when I give them the contract, I always tell them, go have someone look at it.
Yeah.
Like I don't say go to Ryan and look at it. I say, go have someone look at this. Have someone that knows how to read a contract, look at this contract, and then you come back with your comments. Because the thing about contracts is they're all negotiable.
There you go.
Like, just because I give you a contract, you don't have to accept that contract.
Yeah.
You can be like, I want this, this, and this. And I go, okay, I'll do this, this, and this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just go back and forth.
Yeah.
But I never want someone to sign a contract just in front of me. Like, I'm like, no, like, I don't think I've let that happen.
Like, yeah.
I think I've always said, go get someone to read this.
Oh, yeah.
Know what you're signing, know what you're, like, and our contracts are really basic,
Right.
you know, but it's important, you know, it's important to have that layer. And it's always too, like I tell people, like, if any of our dudes or anybody I've ever advised sign with Excel, it's cool, but whoever they want to be with, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, have someone that deals with your business and your relationship with the brand is just skating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, don't be the one that's like trying to negotiate. Like, don't cross business with like these, like, you're gonna, like, if it's gonna be a long-standing relationship, you're gonna have friendships and you're gonna build these things.
Sure.
Like, let someone else do that
dirty work.
That dirty work.
Yeah. But it's the same thing looking at the contracts. I mean, it's either like a Ryan looks at it or a lawyer. Like somebody's going to be looking at it, you know? So like, why not somebody who like comes from our world and, you know,
I mean,
goes
Ryan,
up to bat for you.
Ryan, like, just being like who he is and obviously his skateboarding background, like if you follow him on Instagram, you know he's still chasing it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I've seen him skate the dream driveway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like his driveway is a skate park.
Yeah. His was a great episode, by the way, when he came on the show. It
it
really gave me insight too to what Excel does and everything, you know. So it's really cool what you guys are doing. I like it, you know.
Look, man, my whole thing is do good by people. Like, you know, and just good things are going to happen for you, you know? For sure. So, like, you never do anything with the intent of, like, being rewarded. You just do because you know you can help somebody.
For sure.
You know, and I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of people's careers, you know, where it's like I was just part of it. And anything I could do, I did. And to see someone succeed that's important. Yeah. That's really important to me, you know? You know, seeing Robert Neal right now, who it's like, he's been on a 4-year grind, and it's been a genuinely, like, we want to see him succeed and helping him. And being, like, and the reward is, like, seeing him start to develop into this thing. Like, that's a cool feeling, man.
For sure,
you know,
he's
and
going to have a great part in that new Primitive video. No? Okay. I try. You know, everybody out there,
look,
I try. You know, I can't.
I'm saying it's full length. Don't hold your breath. It's
we regardless, we love what you guys are doing,
every now and then's good, dude.
Yeah,
the edits every couple.
Great.
You know,
I love it, man. like I said, bro, keep doing what you're doing, dude, because you guys are killing it.
We're gonna try.
I love it.
We try our best. So.
Yeah. Oh, we do have stuff to give you though. You want a mug?
Yeah,
Appleyard
for
mug?
sure.
Yeah. Go grab Heath.
Give him one of the side ones.
You want an Appleyard mug or you want a?
I actually do want the Appleyard.
Yeah,
mug.
give him an Appleyard mug and
I think my daughter will like that.
large shirt.
Yeah, large.
Large shirt. Yeah.
Large.
I think we're all out of larges.
God damn
About
it.
stories.
Who's in charge of our warehouse, Raj? Just give him a mug. We'll
Yeah, just give me a mug.
Yeah, there you
I have
go.
Chris. Or do you want it here?
Just give him. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's
There
awesome.
you go, bro. Well, Heath, man, you said it all.
I really appreciate you guys.
No,
having me
thank you
on.
so much
Like,
for
thank you.
coming by.
I don't
So
know
sick.
that I'm like really that deserving of this, but I really
No,
do.
this has been
I do.
super
I really do
interesting.
appreciate this opportunity.
If
Thank you.
all of us are interested, then our viewers are going to be in. You know what I
I
mean?
think
Like
we'll
it's.
really be psyched on the.
Oh my god,
Just the price of boards.
Yeah, that's
it's interesting.
I don't
It's
know.
interesting.
And look, I want to stay. I'm not. That is not me. Like, I do not want to price gouge. That's not what that's about. I'm just like I'm on the front end seeing it.
Yeah.
Start
Right.
where I'm like.
But
like,
isn't
gonna happen.
it normal business practices to say, hey, we make this and we sell it for a certain price. Oh shit, our manufacturer just raised our prices and we're not gonna actually make any money off this, so we need to raise the
Right.
price.
But-
Like, isn't that normal?
Yeah,
Like,
but it's called inflation.
yeah.
That's
I'm-
the price. The
the
cost
shop
of
That's what I'm
go with
goods.
it.
saying.
Generally, the cost of goods goes up year over year.
They raise my rent every year in my apartment.
100%.
same
You know?
here.
Yeah.
100%. So
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
all I know is
It-
I'm working very hard and diligently to make sure I can prolong that for
Right.
as long as I can.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing, though, Heath. You have to understand. People who are outside of the industry, who are probably listening to this, have no fucking clue.
Yeah, it's tough. Like
It's
you have
it's
no idea
interesting.
what it means to run a brand on any scale until you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, like
Right.
that's what this is about.
Oh yeah.
You know?
But not even just. I mean, just the fact that it's just interesting to hear the behind the scenes of skateboard business. You know what I mean? Not to mention your whole career. You know.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Dude, Heath, thank you so much for stopping by, bro.
Thank
You're
you,
the
guys.
man.
I
appreciate it.
Heath Brinkley, dude. Much
Thank you.
success in the future
Thank you.
with Primitive and everything that you're doing, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys are doing a great job. Everyone tells you that, but you
I
guys,
know.
I just want to restate that you guys are doing a
Thank you.
great
bro.
job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We try to have fun. And having guests like you on there is
Yeah.
what it's all about.
Yeah, we'll see.